Hello and welcome to the Net That Gameweek 4 preview. There will be matchups once FPL Lens gets here too. I am, of course, FPL Nima, and I'm joined by the founder and our supreme leader, FPL Mariner. Nice to be back on the show this week.
Supreme leader? That sounds like something from North Korea.
Yeah, I did think what to call you, but I thought I'd go for supreme leader. I felt like co-host wasn't fitting enough.
Supreme leader who's hovering around 1 million.
Yeah, it's a tough lead.
It's a tough start, isn't it? But I tell you what, we're not that bad. I've seen some 1 or 2 content creators who are right in the mire. But hey, what to do? It's been a funny start to the season, hasn't it?
Definitely. I think like what we'll do is just give a quick context of what we're going to cover as well. So we'll talk a little bit about kind of the season so far, what we've learned from the first 3 weeks. As you say, it's been a bit of a nightmare start for many. But in some ways, I would say that's actually a kind of reversion to the mean, because I think last year the template flew at the beginning, and that was quite a rare and unique season. Like many didn't even leave the top 100K all year. So I think normally it takes a while, and like Ben Crellin maps his season, and every year he looks at where he was like in the last 8 or 9 years in the same game week. And he typically says that he's kind of been in the 7-digit ranks up until at least game week 4, 5, 6, 7 a lot of the time. And, you know, he's finished top 50K like every year in the last decade. So I definitely think this is more the norm. Like I wouldn't worry about the ranks where we are today until at least game week 10. But so that's kind of that side. So we'll talk a little bit about just what's going on, the kind of overall high level climate we're in FPL. And we'll talk a little bit about the FDRs as well, like look at the matchups this week in terms of the statistics. But I think there's also just some stuff, because obviously most people are in a different situation to you, Mariner. You have like 2 free transfers this week, so you're not in a kind of position to roll. So I'd love to kind of dig into your team a bit as well while we wait for Gabe to do the proper matchups. But yeah, I've put the photo of Salah as well on the thumbnail. Shout out to Robert Ducky and Andy Martin. I'm not trying to kick you guys while you're down, I promise. I just thought the thumbnail might be nicer to have like a big player graphic rather than the ship, and we use the ship for like Twitter header, YouTube header. So let me know what you think, guys. I want to use more cool graphics like this. Salah's a hotly contested topic, obviously. You know, some people don't have him. They're probably not going to buy him anyway. And there's a lot of division about whether he should be captain in the following weeks.
Oh, poor Ducky. Look, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's been such a strange start to the season, and maybe divisive. I don't know. I think surely nobody thinks that Mo Salah is a bad pick. The fact is,
no, they think that unless you captain him every week, he's not worth it.
Yeah, you see, I'm a different type of player to that. You know, I'm the sort of person who, you know, sometimes you're better off just owning the player. You captain him more often than not, but just owning him is enough if you are, and then you maybe go for the upside with a Gabriel Jesus or something. And it could have worked last week, couldn't it? It could have worked.
I do think that there was like that offside, just to talk on that decision for a second. I'm not even convinced like the cameras at the Bournemouth Stadium were like level with the pitch. Honestly, those angles. No, the reason I say it is I don't really care for. Obviously, we won, so it's not like it makes that much of a difference to me. But the reason I mention it is the next day, like when you look at the winning goal for United against Liverpool, it looks no different to me. And that was onside, and that was the winner for United. So looks like news has got back to the Referee Association that Howard Webb is coming back to lead them and return United to their former glory. Good old Howard Webb, Sir Alex Ferguson's son.
Anyway, enough of this. Let's get on, shall we? Should we go and say
hello? I think let's hi to a few people. We've stalled long enough as we wait for the matchups. Only 15 more minutes of stalling to go. Fadil Khan, shout out, first guy here. Good to see you this evening, mate. Nick Khan's here as well. Got the haulers in the house. Kevin Rose, FPL Safa, doing some admin, so hopefully he can watch along. We've got Mini Mariner. Kieran Turner is here as well in the house. Peter Scullion, evening. I don't think I've caught you live. Maybe you've been watching the VODs, Peter. Would love to hear if this is your first live. Podner as well, one of the YouTube haulers. Good to see you, bud. Robert Ducky, we're doing great, man. I think Mariner's on his second cup of coffee already, and it's only 6:14 a.m. I'll
Correct.
start. It's too much for you, but I'm going to start Kevin's question. We'll get to the questions at the end, but I'll start that. Good evening, FPL fella Dan. Good to see you. We got Combe as well. We'll add that to the starred messages for later. So Mariner's going to be in the UK in September for the FPL meetup when City play Spurs and Chelsea play Fulham. So that'll be good. William Frick, we've got lots of the haulers from YouTube live tonight. This is going to be good fun. Already up at 19 live viewers. 21. Okay, there we go. Keep going. FPL Chips, good to see you. Second time today. Love the support, man. And then FPL A Plus, good to see you. So that's kind of everyone, but nice little crowd we got going already.
Yeah, it's lovely to see them, isn't it? And we've better say thank you to a few as well. So Super Haulers, William Frick, Daddy Bot, Greenback Golf, Sarah Gatsby and FPL Robbie, new members Gary Horwood, Connor Hunt, and FPL Penguin, who I think joined in the stream last week even.
Last week,
and now my eyes are so bad I can't read the rest of them. Nima, can you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna make this. Like, I had to screenshot in Kevin Rose FPL Sappho. It's in black because I don't use light mode like you sick person. So you can see you made the rest of it, and then I was like, "Oh, Kevin's missing."
Oh, I've missed one. Oh God!
Yeah, and I was like, "We've got 32 members. Why is there 31?" I did a quick head count. It's like trying to get all of our kids on the bus together to go on a school tour. So you finished all the haulers. I'll go to the main one. So have you gone down to Mr. Twister and those guys or not?
No. Just if you want us to start on
DG Boy
FPL
88.
DG Boy, and then we go from
shout out to DG Boy, Lindsay as well, who's been loving the shorts that you've been doing with your musings. So good to see you, Lindsay. Devindra Raj, FPL Casuals, Lama here, Tom Gorish or Gorsuk, let us know how to pronounce that. Tusks, Stuart Fletcher, Kieran Turner, Mr. Twister 242, Blonde, shout out to you. S. Scotters M, Fire Tog, FPL Teacher, Robert Ducky, Oscar Arias, Donny, FPL Mike Halpin, Sean Burke, Jack Daglish, Nehal Kukami, and then Podner, FPL Craig, Dread FPL, and Kevin Rose FPL 7. So
I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry
guys.
I missed you off.
So we've got 30. Yeah, so we've got 32 haulers now. We love it. I think there's about 28 so far in the Discord. So nearly everyone who's a YouTube member has come into the Discord. If you still haven't figured out how, DM me on Twitter at FPL Nima, and I will help you get in. You just need to connect your YouTube account to the Discord profile once you create a Discord account. So you can get in there. You can get early access to the data that Mariner shares a few days in advance. We're doing some kind of weekly hangout audio spaces as well, where we just chat to each other. And I think last time I was definitely 2 hours. I was meant to go in for 10 minutes. But yeah, it's just good fun. It gives you a bit more close access to everyone in the Haulers team. And thank you for your support. Obviously, it really helps us grow the channel. So otherwise, let's go to the mini league.
Yeah, all right. So the mini league. So in 10th, we've got Carl Brown. 9th, Craig Richards. 8th, Mark Rasmussen. 7th, Peter Scullion. I think Peter was in the show tonight, is he? Was that Peter? 6th, Dan at the FPL Way, who just happened to unfollow me on Twitter. I don't know why.
No, that was the FPL Way.
Was it? Oh, that was the FPL Way one.
It was like the content account. You know,
right,
the ones that they don't really like use it for timeline.
Okay.
They just push content. Yeah.
Right. 5, we've got Gary Swan. 4, Kevin Rose. But Kevin has played. Kevin's played his bench boost. Interestingly enough. 3, we've got. Oh God, here we go. Vibab Jane. 2nd, FPL Noob Pranay. And the first place at the moment, Martin Edgar with Team Centre of Excellence with a rank of 6.8k. Very nice. Thank you very much. Not played a chip either. Total of 225 points. And he captained nowhere but Mo Salah. Okay, so there we go. So that's the mini chip.
I think that's just crazy.
What's that?
No chip, and to be at that kind of rank already.
That's great, isn't it?
Crazy.
That's really good. In fact, the top 3, none of them have played a chip. So
although there's FPL Chips, by the way. He is 5th. So he wildcarded in Gameweek 2 and bench boosted in Gameweek 3, and he's flying.
Of course, it's FPL Chips. Of course, it is. It's that's our Grimsby fan, I think, isn't it?
You would know better than me. I still call you guys Newcastle fans, but
I
still call you guys Newcastle fans.
Don't bloody well. Just because it's black and white, right?
I'm a simple guy.
Yeah, you are very, very simple. Right. Shall we have a quick look at? Shall we dive into the fixture difficulty and things then? Whilst we are.
Yeah, let's look at the difficulty for this week.
So let's just find that slide.
While you do that, so for the podcast listeners who are missing the humor, so Robert Ducky, one of the members as well, obviously paying to support the channel. He says nothing like paying to be a hauler and then not listening to Mariner or Nima. Lol. I love that. No, taking the advice is optional. Obviously, it's just everyone's got an opinion. None of us really know what the outcome is going to be.
He's been trying to get in my head, you know. He's been sending me messages and trying to get in my head. I think he's trying to convert me.
He's got the video ready, by the way, for when Salah blanks this week against Bournemouth. He's going to convert you fully.
He's trying hard. He's really trying hard, right? It's bless him. I thought, are you trying to psych me out here, Ducky?
He just wants you to join the cult.
He does. He does. He saw
that's
this thing.
That is a positive statement,
this
right?
thing. He clipped it saying, "Oh, Mariner Ducky might be onto something."
Sounds like you're sold.
Yeah.
I think you should do it. I think this week, right? You know, you got 2 free transfers. You don't know what to do. You're going to wildcard soon anyway, right? You could always, looking at this fixture difficulty, like it doesn't look great for Liverpool. You could always do Salah to KDB this week.
Look, now you're trying to get in my head, and I ain't doing that. No way.
I just thought Ducky would find that entertaining, so I thought,
Yeah, he probably would.
Seeing as the FPL advice isn't useful, I'll give him some comedy gold instead.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at this fixture difficulty and let's decide whether we are going to do a Mo Salah move or, in fact, take any Liverpool asset out. 800,000 Liverpool assets removed, sold this game week, Nima. You didn't manage to do a transfer trends, but I wish you did. You could have had an absolute riot.
I think it would have been wild. 300,000 plus sales for Trent alone, yeah.
300 for Trent, 100k for Salah, over 100,000 for Salah.
After an 8-pointer.
100,000 for Diaz. 90 odd thousand for Alisson. Maybe I understand that one. I consider
you might be on that boat this week.
Robertson and Van Dijk as well. 90 and 80,000. This is before a fixture where they've got a 65% chance of a clean sheet against Bournemouth, ranked flat bottom for attack away from home. With a fixture difficulty for attack of 3.5 and defense for 2.5. And if anybody's doesn't understand, go and check the evergreen content out regarding fixture difficulty for the show. 3.5 is very, very good. We've topped fixture difficulty of 4 twice this season, and both times teams scored 4 goals. So yeah, 3.5 there. I mean, if there's ever a time to hold, it's now. I just find it madness.
So how come you're considering selling Alisson? I guess is that just like because it's a slightly different scenario?
That would be a move to someone like Sanchez, who has extremely good fixtures defensively coming up. You see that there in game week 5 to 8. Brighton have a defensive fixture difficulty of 6.5. That's very good. The second best behind City.
It's better than Liverpool's. Damn.
Yeah. So that's the move I'm looking. That would free me some money up to allow me to go from someone like Bailey to Aronson. Probably next
problem as well. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Probably next week, not this week, because I don't.
I guess it's just a tough sale, isn't it?
Brighton,
but it's just a tough sale, isn't it?
Yeah,
getting Sanchez this week, as you say, because I do think like Leeds, in the same way that you might not fancy Brighton at Leeds, you probably don't fancy Leeds at Brighton either. So it's kind of like you're going to sell Alisson before Bournemouth for Sanchez against Leeds. It just feels off. But then if you don't use the transfer, you've burnt it and you need the money for Bailey. So it's like you're in a real pickle. I'm sure we'll get to a conclusion.
Yeah, we will, because there's another move as well I'm thinking about, which we'll talk about later as well. But yeah, so looking at that, that's the first thing first. Let's say Liverpool. So, if you're thinking about selling Liverpool assets, unless it's to free up some money to do something else, and, we can discuss this in the questions later on. I don't think it's very wise at all. In fact, I went to that level on the short, which I sent out last night, which didn't get many views. The only shorts which get views are the ones with the cat in. With the cat got more views than Net That Haul combined last week.
Yeah, it carried the channel for a week, like 4,500 views.
And it picked Jesus and it nearly hauled. Right, next one, Arsenal. Now we're talking about Gabriel Jesus. Let's talk about Arsenal. So they've got a very, very good fixture difficulty as well, 3.2 an attack. And a good fixture difficulty for defence as well at 1.7. So possibility of a double hauler there. So, your Gabriels and your Zinchenko's.
What do you think about the Saka owners? They obviously held last week to, their dismay still, but like it's still another promoted team, right? Like at home as well, with Villa at home to come up. Like I just feel like it's too early to sell Saka unless it is for Martinelli, which I don't know who doesn't have Martinelli. Like,
yeah, I mean, looking at this and just going to the zonals, we'll jump back into the fixtures in a second. Arsenal's fixture zonals against Fulham are not great.
Some zonal mismatch, I think Gabe had said as well in his matchups when we get to the analysis of the individual game. Right?
I actually think that it might be more suited for the right-hand side of Arsenal this week, slightly, than the left or centre. And you mentioned that might mean that it becomes more of a game for Saka and possibly Odegaard, because if Jesus pulls out to the right to try and get some interest, because it looks like he might struggle down the left-hand side, then that could open it up for Odegaard, right?
Yeah, so I think when I looked at the passing network for the last game against Bournemouth, it was the first game where the reliance on the kind of the new dominant left wing wasn't as apparent. So a lot of the play was going through the right wing. And what that seemed to coincide with was that for the first game out of the three we've had, Jesus was actually like much further to the right of the center to receive the ball and connect up with them. So I do think that maybe him and Martinelli's kind of chemistry together is great, but Jesus will kind of go to whichever wing he needs to find good luck. And I think it's from Fulham, I think it's Ream, the fullback. He pushes up quite high. And I think because he'll be pushing up quite high, that will make Jesus think I can go here with Saka and I can be the overlapping runner that White isn't necessarily, although he showed it with a nice cross last game. So he seems to be getting further forward than I thought he could. But either way, I do think if I had Saka now, I'd still want to hold him for this game. But I think we're talking about people with triple Arsenal attack. Like if you don't have Martinelli, like I just don't know like how you've still not gone there yet.
No, I mean, what I would say about triple attack is that it doesn't leap off the page as being the best thing. I still think that the natural hedge is to have a defender as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the defenders are good enough value, and someone like Saliba as well, he's going to be interesting as the season goes on if he maintains that spot. He's not going to score with his wrong foot like that every week, of course. Like caveat to anyone who buys him just because I said that as an Arsenal fan. But Nima says Saliba's going to score every week. I'm buying him. No, I didn't say that.
No, but he's cheap, right? It's 4.6. If you've just been priced out on a move and you need to find that extra little bit of cash, then that I wouldn't be objectionable to that move, quite frankly. It wouldn't bother me too much. Hello, Gabe. How are you? Well, you're mute. That's
Am I on?
Yeah.
Am I live now? Am I live
You're
now?
here now, right. Yeah, you're here now. So anyway, we're just covering these the fixture difficulty, and then what we'll do is we'll dive into your stuff, Gabe. Now you're here. So what we're saying is basically Arsenal have got 50% chance of 2.5 goals or more, 50% chance of a clean sheet, good fixture difficulties as well. Zonals may be a little bit of a concern because of Fulham, maybe more to do with Fulham being probably a little bit tight in defence actually over the first 3 games this season. But still a very, very good matchup. The next one down the list is Chelsea against a Leicester side who probably now have odds on the first managers to get sacked this season.
The rumours were out this week, that Brendan's on the ropes and a couple of board members already want him
He's
out.
on the ropes. And Chelsea, well, yeah, let's face it. I had a massive rant on Saturday about Chelsea, about Reece James. You know, the brilliant matchup, and then he plays him at right centre-back. He's a clown as well, but there we go. Enough of that. But they have got a good matchup, 2.8. 40% chance of 2.5 goals or more. against Leicester. But note Chelsea's defence is only 1.1. So that might tell you that there is a little bit of doubt about a clean sheet there.
And I guess this is not even with the context of Koulibaly being suspended either.
Correct.
Not exactly ideal. At least it's just the one game for us Chelsea defensive asset owners. 3-game ban would have been a bit of a sucker punch, I think.
Yeah, but I'm all right. I still think that I think it could be a game for Reece James. Quite honestly, we'll see. Anyway, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not selling him. I thought about selling him, and I've decided against it. 48% chance of a clean sheet, Chelsea as well. So I think, again, decent matchup. Next one is Spurs, 2.6 positive attack, 38% chance, 2.5 goals, 1.6 defense. That's, again, 2.6, 1.6. That screams double haul. That screams a haul for a defender, potentially there.
Perisic spotted in training.
Potentially for Perisic, but I'm sure Gabe's going to have something to say about that in a minute. Could also be Sessegnon, of course. The issue is which one, but I do fancy one of those. Whoever it is, whoever gets the minutes could haul this week, is my view there. I like Forest, and Forest beat Grimsby 3-0 last night, and I think they're talking about it in the chat. I like Forest. Forest away from home against teams other than us. I think, sorry, they're at home, aren't they? Sorry, I should say. Forest at home is a tougher fixture, but I still think Spurs have got too much for them. I think there's a potential haul there for a defender there for Spurs as well.
Is it worth touching on? Oh, sorry, you do the last one, and then I'll tell you.
Oh, sorry, the last one I was going to talk about, and it's interesting. This is City. It's not that great a matchup this week, according to the numbers. Defense slightly over attack. That's probably more to do with Palace being really miserly at the moment defensively. I'm not sure I buy that quite. I still think City will have too much for Palace. I just don't think I see a massive, massive result. I see a 2, maybe 3, maybe maximum 3, 2 to 3 goals there. And I think that is just because Palace are just so well organised. I think they've got the ability to stifle teams, and I think they might try and do that. That's basically where I am on the fixture difficulties for this week. Should we do a chit chat about that, and then I'll just dive into the longer range stuff as well?
Yeah, so I think my question was maybe more about the longer range and 3 teams you didn't touch on, so I can save that. But it was specifically around kind of the budget options of Brentford, Brighton, and Leeds, and perhaps what the next 3 or 4 weeks look like for them. But let's have a little chat about this week, because Gabe, what you missed earlier is that Mariner's in a unique position of having 2 free transfers. So he can't even roll one. And he's debating things like selling Alisson, selling Haaland, selling Reece James. So our job is to make him sell Salah for KDB by the end of the
year. I'm selling Trent, Salah, and Diaz for a -4, and I'm bringing in all sorts of crazy players that people like Perisic. I'm bringing in Kulusevski. I'm bringing in all these players because they're supposed to be. There's a lot of narratives. So yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
We've got to convince him by the end of the episode. We've got to make him transfer live on air before the price changes.
I ain't doing that. No way.
But that was a couple of years ago, was it? When we both took a -8 live on a Monday night.
-8 on a Monday night live on air. Yeah, that was entertaining, wasn't it?
Oh, never.
That didn't go well, did it?
No.
I had no. There'll be some good times.
We've already been saying about the knee-jerking going on, Gabe, and I know you're going to come on to that in a second. You're going to come on to narratives. There's loads of people fishing for their own narrative right now, when, quite frankly, we don't even know what bait to put on the hook.
Right. I'd like to just fish for a few more likes on the stream, if you guys would. There are 33 of you watching, and I think only about 16 likes in there, so smash that like for us.
Yes, please. Please do that.
Yeah, to be fair, we haven't even asked this episode, and we're 24 minutes in, so... We're trying to make sure you find it helpful and useful first. But at this point, I'd like to think that if you find the show useful, if you're listening on pod, give us a shout out. What I did want to say is we obviously got into the Football Content Awards as a finalist last year. Thanks to everyone who's supported the channel then. We have an opportunity now in the next week or 2 before the deadline to be nominated again as a finalist. So we'll put a link in the video and podcast description and on our Twitter. But it takes you honestly 15 seconds. And if you ever found anything from Net That Haul useful, it would mean the world to us if you could nominate us for the Football Content Awards. You simply click the link, you scroll to the best in fantasy football, and then in the creators category, you just type in Net That Haul. It takes 15 seconds. You don't even need to put in an email address. So honestly, anything you can do to support on that. And hopefully we can get into the finalist list again.
And it's in the comments. And if we achieve it this year, it will be a bigger achievement than last year because there are more content creators and some very, very good ones.
And it's been merged as well.
Don't waste your vote on that big sea, that big ocean, the people with the big accounts and the big shows. Bring it to little old Net That Haul. Make your vote
the underdog
counts.
Story. Yeah,
your vote here counts.
The minnows that are Net That Haul. Anyway, whilst we're talking about minnows, let's talk about the minnows, like you mentioned, Nima, about the other sort of like teams on the periphery. So you mentioned Brentford, Brighton, and Leeds, didn't you? I think.
Yes, those are the ones I'm really interested in.
So
and especially because Leeds doesn't look great here for Gameweek 5 to 8, and everyone's piling in on Rodrigo.
It's not great, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah,
it takes time. This fixture difficulty is taking time. It's going in the right direction for Leeds, particularly attack wise. But I mean, if I'm honest with you, you know, Brighton look to be the standout option for me right now. Brighton defense, particularly, I really, really like. I wouldn't go as far as doubling up, but I would certainly have one now. I think if you're on the hunt for a cheap keeper, I think Sanchez is by far the best option right now. Attacking wise, interestingly, you know, players like Welbeck are doing bits quietly. You know, he's doing stuff there. And you've also got players like Gross and Trossard. Trossard's got a very good matchup this week, actually. Then we've obviously got Brentford. For me, I'm more interested in their attack than I am their defense. And I think if I was in the market to replace a striker right now, it would be Tony who would be coming in.
So that was my question there, because obviously Brentford's kind of attacking FDR from Gameweek 5 to 8 is a 1.1. You got like Brighton at 4.7.
Yeah,
I'm seeing people selling the likes of, say, Gross for Rodrigo. Leeds have 2.6. It would seem on paper anyway that like Brighton's attacking FDR over those few weeks is better than both Brentford and Leeds. So like, I'm surprised that the likes of, say, Welbeck with more play potentially leaving, they're not like being seen as an option. And then equally like Tony, I think we love him because he's nailed and he's on penalties, which I suppose Welbeck isn't, right?
Yeah.
So that's one side of it.
And I just think that, I mean, Brighton are super well organised, right? But are they, you know, who's likely to get you that haul? Is it Welbeck or is it Tony? For me, it's Tony. Or every day of the week. That's where I am. And then Leeds, you know, 2.6 attack away. I really like. I was very, very impressed with them at the weekend. Very, very impressed. I think we all were, I'm sure. Maybe a little bit surprised. Maybe, although Rodrigo, I don't know. We'll come on to this in a bit. But for me, is he under threat? How can he be? You know, at this moment in time, he's the form player. But that said, I might not be able to get to him price-wise, so I may have to go bargain bucket slightly. So for me, if I'm looking at a player there, and I am looking at a Leeds asset, I think I'm looking at Aronson. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at any Leeds defender at this moment, despite them playing pretty well. I still don't trust them.
I think just to add on the Leeds point, so a lot of Leeds fans had obviously expected that once Bamford is fit, that Rodrigo isn't necessarily in that starting 11 because they're seeing that Sinestra will come in on one wing, Harrison on the other, Aronson playing number 10 with Bamford up top. There were some questions about could we see like a 4-2-2-2 where like all of them get in, all the attackers and none of them are benched, but they don't seem to think that's going to be how it's going to go down. So with that in mind, the question is, where is Bamford? And on the Carabao Cup game, he wasn't even on the bench. And the likes of Rodrigo, Aronson, they all got rested. So it's kind of like Rodrigo seems pretty safe for now. Like,
yeah,
yes, maybe in 3, 4, 5 weeks, like at some point. And I know the danger of like, I've in the past held off a transfer because of like planning too far ahead. And I think with just 3 weeks of data and what we can see so far, him wearing the captain armband while the Manager's given him the faith, the backing, said he's on penalties while Bamford isn't on the pitch. To not see Bamford in the team tonight, not even in the squad, I do think that maybe it's just worth that punt. But I do worry that long term he is not going to be in that 11. That's kind of the thing. So you need an exit plan. But he's a good way to make money.
Yeah, you make a great point. And the problem I've got is just the cash, I think. I could do it if I, for example, take Alisson down. That's one way of doing it. Alisson down will give me the money to be able to get Rodrigo. Gabe, I'm going to just go back about a season and a quarter. Jesse Lingard. This is prime bloody Lingard territory right now with bloody Rodrigo. And I missed that boat. Am I going to miss this boat too? Are you going to miss this boat? You went Eze.
I went Eze. I'll probably jump off Eze. There's another player I'm eyeing, and Eze is so I'm in the same situation as you, Mariner. I have 2 free transfers, and I don't really want to make big moves just yet. So I have the luxury. I had the luxury to go for Eze on that punt, and I have the luxury to move from him now. But I will say what I will say about Rodrigo is I don't. So a lot of the Leeds fans and the forums, I guess, are saying that he could be benched when Bamford comes back, and I don't see it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Just the way he's playing, the way Americans think. I mean, Jesse Marsh just gave him the captain's armband. That is symbolic for an American, and that kind of token doesn't get removed just because a player comes back from injury. So Rodrigo is going to have a role in this starting 11. I think there's no doubt about that. I think my concern with Rodrigo is something at Libero FPL. He tweeted this regarding Rodrigo's stats, and he says Rodrigo has 5 returns from 2.4 XGI as it stands, right? So, and
isn't one of the XG from like shooting from the goal line?
Right.
So that one of the 2.43.
So 4 goals came from 1.8 XG. However, one of those goals, and this is the one you're talking about, Nima, is the one he stole off the goal line. Yeah. And that's 0.9 XG. He just stole that off the goal line. That means his 3 other goals are from a combined 0.9 XG. And that's not sustainable. And you see the goals, and the goals aren't sustainable. One thing I will say about Rodrigo, he's the master of the near post run. He's scored a goal from a header from the near post. He's done like a little flick chip, really nice from the near post. So I think he's great. I think he's gonna remain in the team, and I think it's a mistake to chase those points.
Yeah, so like he'll stay in the team, but it's almost like those points have gone. The price rises have happened. How much longer is this sustainable? Is it a Lingard situation where every week we say it can't keep going on? And when is the week you're going to lose, like, just the gain of even joining? Like, are you joining a bandwagon so late? Yeah, like, because really, like, I guess the other alternative is Harrison is the one that gets benched. But definitely one of the 2 of them is going to get benched when Bamford is back. It's just which one. But they're both playing well.
On the bench, but if Bamford's not even on the bench, right? When are we going to play our wildcards? I actually just think that Rodrigo's the obvious choice. I mean, I might hold off him this week and maybe go next week. I could still
go after the Brighton fixture.
After the Brighton game. But for me, if we're wildcarding in game week 9, why are we worrying about it? I think it's pretty nailed.
Yeah. Well, the reason is that because we want points now.
And we're saying that he's overperformed and won't sustain them. Yeah, I think I agree with Gabe.
0.9 XG. That's what you're chasing?
Didn't we have this similar with Lingard? He just kept bloody returning.
But that's the thing. So you've got to identify when you get on.
Ball up on the edge of the box and just curl it into the top corner, and me thinking, "Oh, for Christ!"
It was the same with Smith Rowe, right? Smith Rowe was scoring like every week and then off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. Nima, your sound's a little bit up and down. I don't know whether you're still a bit loud, but anyway. It's a change for us being quiet. Now we're loud.
I'll move the gain. Yeah, I'll move the gain.
Only me who's loud. Anyway, not in that way. Not with respect to my volume, by the way. Just with the fact that I'm just loud. Gabe,
you're loud. You're loud even in your DMs when you type DMs and I get a DM from you, it's fucking loud, man.
It certainly was this week.
Well, you and are like
ranting again.
I'm gonna make next week.
team.
I'm not going to tell you why I'm ranting, though. This is
I was
just
going to say, I'm going to put for next week's thumbnail, I'm going to get the gif of old man shouting at cloud and put like a photo of Mariner shouting at a cloud. I'm going to recreate it. There, I've got my photo. I'm going to screenshot
Nice.
35 minutes
There
in,
it is.
timestamp.
There it is.
Perfect. I've got what I need for the thumbnail. Just a quick one to Cosgrove. We will talk about Neto. I actually have him as well. I've starred your question, so when we get to the Q&A, I'll make sure I answer everything. And anyone who can't be here for the whole show and is like going to go to bed because it is like nearly midnight, just we'll have timestamps as well, so you can skip around to sections. So if we don't get your question before you sleep, don't worry, it will be there somewhere in the Q&A.
And what we're going to do now, and please, Gabe, don't stare at me again, because you always stare at me, give me some funny looks. But, what we're actually going to do now, for those of you who are actually thinking about going to sleep, is what we're going to do now is we're going to lull you into sleep by talking about Gabe's philosophy of the week. It's going to calm you down, hopefully, or maybe it won't. But let's have a look at Gabe's philosophy of the week to lull you off to sleep in Europe and the United Kingdom. Or wake you up if you are in Asia like me.
Well, all our waste goes to the ocean, as depicted here in this graphic. And with that thought in mind,
it certainly does in the UK at the moment. I was reading some stories about that. Right, carry on. Right, okay.
So the FPL Lens philosophy of the week for Gameweek 4 comes to us from Chief White Eagle. He was a Native American politician and civil rights leader of the Ponca tribe, and he said to us, "So long as mists envelop you, be still. Be still until the sunlight pours through and dispels the mists, because it will. Then act with courage." And this, I think I was inspired by this quote because of the narratives kind of being flung around the FPL community right now and the overreactions to 3 games played, right? Just like a few examples. Perisic is a must-own, yet he probably won't start this weekend. Neto sucks, but Wolves are changing and they have 2 new very good players. Walker is the defender to own. Oh, he had a terrible game. You know what? He's had a terrible fucking year. Walker's not a good player. Cucurella. Oh, definitely get Cucurella. Definitely get Cucurella. You got to double up on Chelsea defense. Oh, wait a minute. They just got trounced by fucking Leeds. And, get that Silva as quickly as possible, because you know what? He's going to be benched for Damsgaard soon because there are 8 players vying for 3 places in Brentford. So that's a lot of mist that's surrounding us. And let's wait for this mist to clear, wait for the UCL draw tomorrow, wait for the transfer window to shut down before you start going crazy and making all these big plans with your teams with half information that we have.
Sounds more like hot air and bad wind to me rather than mist.
Pretty much, yeah. That's it's a swamp gas.
That's a perfect pin. We can certainly snip that bit for the week. Interesting, you say. Perisic must own. Neto sucks. Well, maybe you don't know that, mate. Walker, I agree. Cucurella, yeah. I mean, Chelsea double up. That's not worked yet, has it? Let's face it. De Silva, that to me was a complete. That was balmy.
Talking about XG over performance, that was 2 goals from like a 0.02 XG. For a CM, like, my God. I think the people I know who spoke about him, they were quite optimistic because they were going to wildcard, and they have now. They were optimistic he'd rise twice. So when he only rose the once, then blanked, and then they wildcarded him out, they did tell me they didn't kind of feel great about the decision. But he'll score some goals here and then in the season, but he's your bench fodder. Like, is the week you're going to start him going to align with the stars and be the week he scores? Probably not.
Well, the other thing is that people brought him in the week that Brentford signed Mikkel Damsgaard, and Damsgaard is going to come in and Da Silva is going to drop to the bench. Damsgaard he had just signed, so he didn't play or anything, and it was very knee jerky, and there's a lot of knee jerking going around. There's a lot of mist around us.
How about this? Like, so people are on Wildcard, and they are not buying an 8.1 million Liverpool striker who's nailed by one is banned and the other is injured and the other one plays as a CDM.
No,
Isn't
let's
that
get it right.
overthinking?
People are selling him.
Or selling him. So yeah, forget not buying him. Like they're wildcarding him out. I just think that's crazy. Like I just don't understand. Like United were well up for that game. Like Klopp said before the match, them getting battered 4-0 was the worst thing that could happen. And in the press, it's been shown that their day off got cancelled. They were forced on a 14-kilometer run. The manager joined them on the 14-kilometer run to show that he felt equally culpable for the result. And it wasn't just them, but he showed them their running stats, showed them it was the worst in the division. And the next thing you know, like they come to Old Trafford and they're like, damn, like we got humiliated. And like we had our day off cancelled. And our coach like almost had a heart attack trying to keep up with us on this run. We don't want to make him run 14 kilometers again. So I think they had been playing their way out from the back. It was going spectacularly wrong. Ten Hag was far more pragmatic this time round, just thinking about it. Like, you know, De Gea was not playing back from the back. They were kicking the ball up the pitch. And I think Liverpool, with all the players, have 9 first-team players out. Like, it just, they couldn't do it, right? Like, they couldn't turn up on the day. And is the players that is Bournemouth at home at Anfield a fixture you're selling Luis Diaz for when he's nailed? Like, I'm just baffled. Like I get that they lost to United, but like, come on, like they had a draw, and a loss. Like, when do you think the title challenging Liverpool are going to turn up and like start to get a win? Like, probably this week. And how many goals are they going to score? Probably 3, 4, or 5.
Yep, tend to agree.
Yeah. Neho has a great point here. Is the amount of negativity regarding Liverpool all over Twitter too. This is another narrative. It's just 3 games. He's absolutely right. It's 3 games. Liverpool have no midfield. The decimated back line. They're like tatters of themselves. Yes, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a deer in headlights this week. This season. I don't know what's wrong with him. And Salah has been inaccurate. I think Diaz has been their best player, to be perfectly honest. But that's not going to last. That's going to change, and it could change it. If what better week against Bournemouth for it to change?
I mean, look, let's just these narratives, right? I could show you how, and I've showed it in the Discord all week, how you can change the captaincy metric by changing the data.
Just one input, suddenly someone flies to the top of the
jumps
table.
the data one way or another. There's so little information. The only thing I think
that's the thing with models. Yeah, you need to look at what's going into them and maybe decide that there's just one tool that you're using. They're not the be all and end all of your decisions.
Exactly. And I get people say, the metric's crap. Well, maybe it's not doing that well this season so far, but it doesn't matter. The fact is that what it does, it's trying to point us in the right direction as to which, and then you make your choice. If you don't trust the metric, trust the cat.
Trust the cat, exactly. If you don't trust logic, trust instinct.
I wouldn't trust him. No chance. But no, that's my take on it. Data at the moment, it's very, very patchy. We're still not. Yeah. We're still 3 weeks away, really, from even remotely getting some proper patterns for this season. Gabe and I have been debating it this week already. I think there's a bigger disconnect between previous seasons and this season as well. I think that's the other thing. We've seen Arsenal jump rapidly up, not, from where they were. Arsenal were badly treated on the fixture difficulty, still are to a certain extent. And you can see that Liverpool have gone the other way slightly, but teams don't become bad teams overnight. Players don't become bad players overnight. And what the bloody hell are people doing selling players like Trent when first, third, and fifth best points predicted players have been sold by 500,000 players this week?
I think what I don't get right is, like, I had some of my friends, one of them, he was aiming for a top half finish last year, so top 4.5 million, and with my help, he just about managed the 2.5 million finish. We recovered the last 10 weeks. He's off to a great start this year. He's ahead of everyone, in fact, that I know who's a very serious player. This guy normally misses deadlines, makes 16 transfers total a year, that kind of player, right? And already 3 weeks in, he was like, oh, I'm selling Trent. I'm definitely selling Trent. I was like, but like, he's playing Bournemouth and like they're really weak down the flank he plays on, and like he has incredible fixtures, and you sold Robbo last week. Like, I get that, but you just want to have no Liverpool defense coverage. I was like, didn't you tell me you're selling Cancelo yesterday before Liverpool played? And he's like, yeah, one of them. And I was like, but for who? And again, like, he doesn't have a plan. So I just think that's what's happening, Mariner. Like, there's a lot of people selling players who come first international break, they're never logging back into their team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't think about these transfers as like
between me and you. I know
wise.
someone who's missed two. Between me and you, who's on the stream, I think he's watching. I know someone who's missed 2 deadlines this season already.
Yeah, but if you've got a bus team, it's all right. Watching or hosting? Are they watching or hosting? Okay. I wasn't sure if you were saying Gabriel's missed 2 deadlines.
No. I'm sure he hasn't. No, although he might. I don't know. Gabe, 45 minutes in, we need to do the matchups. I think we've covered quite a bit already in the chit chats going around it. So maybe we can skip through 1 or 2. But it's always a great section, this. So we'll get started, shall we? The first one is Southampton against Manchester United.
Southampton against Manchester United. Well, I mean, we learned a lot, right? In Manchester United in their last match, and I think we're going to be learning. We're going to have these types of lessons kind of moving forward. So, from a chances perspective, Southampton, interestingly, they have the best big chance conversion rate at 80%. And I went back and I watched all 4 of the big chances that they converted. It's 4 out of 5 there. They have 5. And they're all good football plays. Like, that stuff is sustainable. And I think our perspective of Southampton is going to change pretty soon here if they can continue to develop. I think Hasenhüttl is doing something a little bit different, and it's kind of working because they're really effective going forward. Even though they don't get forward very much or create very much, when they do it, they usually bang. By contrast, Manchester United have the 3rd worst big chance conversion rate at 29%. So that's quite the disparity. Southampton have 5 big chances in 3 matches, and Manchester United have conceded 5 big chances in 3 matches. So we can expect a roughly 1.75 or like just about 2 big chances for Southampton here. And at a conversion rate of 80%, that could mean 1 or 2 goals for Southampton. So I wouldn't expect a Manchester United clean sheet in this one. From expected stats perspective, Southampton have the 3rd worst expected goals non-penalty, so obviously quite low. They don't create very much, but when they do create, they finish. They've also been slightly unlucky with their finishing. They have an expected goals on target delta, so that's goals minus expected goals on target of plus 1.72. So they have been a little lucky with the finishes. So maybe that big chance conversion, I don't know. But if you go back and watch the videos, I wouldn't say that's luck. Those were good plays with good finishes. On the other side, Manchester United have the 3rd worst expected goals non-penalty conceded, 4.46. But Southampton don't create much XG. So I don't know if that'll be an issue. That's probably a wash there. They neutralize each other. And Manchester United is slightly unlucky with their finishing, with minus 1.36 expected goals on target conceded delta. So if Manchester United can clean up some finishing, if they can finish maybe the way they did in the Liverpool match, maybe play more on the counterattack with that changing style, that could clean up the attacking efficiency, and they could see something there. From a shots perspective, Southampton, all 5 goals from inside just the box, but only 9 total shots on target. So they have 5 goals with 9 shots on target. Don't know if that's very sustainable. They're going to need to increase the shots on target if they want to sustain the goal output. And United are joint 3rd for the most shots on target conceded. They've conceded 16 this season, and shots in the box conceded 32 there. So this could be an opportunity for Southampton to increase their shot output with the way Manchester United concede. But if Manchester United are going to go out and play counterattack against everybody, like Liverpool and Southampton alike, that opportunity might not present itself. We're going to see 2-4-2-3-1s. Whoops, that should say 4-2-3-1, not 4-3-2-1. Southampton has scored quality goals. NetxG really likes a 1-1 here, although a 1-0 United win wouldn't be out of the question. I think these are 2 teams in transition, both of them getting better. But I find it a little bit impossible to predict. And I kind of see a draw, though.
Interesting. I tell you what makes me chuckle is everybody who sold Rashford. I mean, look, I couldn't completely understand why they sold him, but I've just had a quick check. Rashford's predicted 5.3 points this week. He's 6.3. So, he only needs to get another one more goal. He'll very quickly jump back up in price at that range. Just because
Rashford will be back on the left wing though. Martial will probably start, and Rashford will start on the left wing, which is where Elanga played. And Elanga played really well, but that might limit Rashford's potential. So I don't know if I agree with that prediction.
Martial at 7 million.
Yeah.
If Ronaldo does leave, because I can't see Ronaldo agreeing to sit on a bench for Martial, and from what I can see, they asked Ten Hag about who he picked in the 11, and he kind of said, Liverpool are gonna be aggressive, and I want players who will press them off the ball. So he didn't name Ronaldo, but he implied Ronaldo won't do the off the ball work that he wants from his team. So I don't know if Ronaldo's in his best 11.
No, and we did say pre-season, didn't we, that if Martial gets a run at that price, he is potentially an excellent option if they get themselves sorted out.
Don't forget, he has a Ballon d'Or clause in his contract. He was the most expensive ever teenager signed by a club in world football at the time.
Yeah, from Monaco. KK has a question there in the chat asking if Manchester United's stats are kind of are their defensive stats, are they depressed because of the Brentford game? Obviously, the Brentford game was a hit to them, but these go back to last season, so they wouldn't be affected too much there.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, shall we keep going? Brentford Everton.
All right. We can kind of go through this one pretty quickly, even though there's a lot of information here. Brentford are really interesting. I would say watch the midfield, how Brentford's midfield changes, and keep your eye on Wissa. Well, he got a return. I almost went Wissa over Eze last week. I don't wish I did because I loved how Eze played. But yeah, watch for that rotation, and it will depend on the tactics and what they're facing, and I'll get to that in just a second. From a chances perspective here, Brentford's second most big chances scored. They scored 5, and fourth most chances conceded from the center for Brentford, which is interesting because Everton have the joint third most chances created from the center. And despite, I think that's Damari Gray playing in there, and so somehow they're creating a lot of chances. And Everton are only mid-table for big chances conceded. They're not. I think we have this perception of Everton that they are whipping boys like Bournemouth, and that they're not really that way. And I think there are some other teams that we need to start changing our perception on. From expected stats point of view here, Brentford are the biggest outperformer in terms of XG with an XG NP delta of plus 3.83. So they're, and the XGNP for Everton is 3.77. And here's Everton's problem, but their expected goals on target is 2.58. So it's minus 1.19 less than their expected goals. Obviously they don't have a striker, and that's a result of that. Brentford expected goals conceded non-penalty is 4.17. And there's something missing in this stat, so I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to the shots. Brentford have the third most goals from in the box with the 6th fewest shots in the box, and I thought that was interesting, and it shows how efficient the tactics really are when Brentford set up a certain way. And I think those stats are there. Obviously, they're a little bit buoyed by the United game, as KK mentioned earlier. Everton have the same shots on target as Arsenal, Newcastle, Leeds, and Brentford, 15, but half the expected the XG on target, 2.58. Everyone else is up near like 4.5, 5 for the quality of their shots. So I just think, Everton's their frailties in terms of finishing, they're showing up all over the place, but they are somehow getting those chances and those shots off. NetxG likes Brentford at 1.37, Everton at 1.16, likes goals for both of them, really favors a 1-1, but a 1-0 would not surprise NetxG. And Everton, since they're playing 5 at the back or 3 at the back, I expect Thomas Frank to go with a 3-5-2 formation with Mabomo and Tony next to each other, and then Tony dropping into link play. So not the greatest kind of tactical setup for Tony. Also not the greatest tactical setup for players like Wissa, because they will be kind of stuck as a wing back. If he plays, it might be someone else.
I see goals here. I don't see 1-1. I see Brentford beating Everton. Probably quite easily.
Can I just ask, is Everton's like chance creation, is it, I don't know if you've looked into it, but is the new signing Onana anything to do with it? Because he's looked very lively.
Onana, what's his name?
Yeah, Onana, what's his name? He's been doing well. But you know what? I saw a video of Anthony Gordon's career highlights ahead of his move to Chelsea, and I think he's got 4 goals last year in the Prem, if I'm right, and 3 of them were deflections. So I think people are a little bit overhyped on the kid. Like I like him. He's a good kid, and I'm sure he'll be an explosive winger. Is what Chelsea are looking for. Is the word on the street.
But Nima, we can't mention that name you just mentioned because I spotted him as well.
Yeah, I'm considered him as like a 0.1% owned asset to fly through the ranks.
Like. Yeah, I spotted it. He did look pretty good when he came on. It's just minutes, I think, isn't it? I don't know. Let's see what happens. No, honestly, Gabe, I'm quite bullish on Brentford against Everton, particularly given Everton are away. And Everton away from home, you know what I think there. I think they're very, very targetable right now.
Yeah.
And I think Tony is a great shout right now for this game. Midfield's a minefield for Brentford. I don't know which one.
I think that's going to be your transfer, right? Haaland to Tony this week.
What a funny feeling it might be.
I've been pushing that propaganda for a while.
That might be the one, because the one I'm thinking about, just to share with everybody, is Foden to KDB and Haaland to Tony.
And you have 2 free transfers as well, so it's not even for a hit.
Yeah. That's
scenes when KDB is rested this weekend and Hall bags a hat trick.
Right, yeah. You're just trying to get in the head like Ducky.
Yeah.
You might as well just sell Salah for KDB and keep Haaland.
No, I've contemplated that, because I am thinking that I am a bit worried about Haaland's minutes in the longer term. It could be too early. That's the risk. I'll have to think about it. I might just, if I do a single move, I can't just take Alisson out for a single move this week. It'd kill me. If you know what's going to happen if I take Alisson out. Anyway, let's keep going. Don't go there. Brighton against Leeds is now the only thing which tempers my thoughts about Brighton against Leeds is I've just got that funny feeling Leeds might score. I wouldn't be all surprised if this isn't 1-1.
Well, NetxG agrees with you there, Mariner.
Yeah.
37.6% chance for 1 goal for Brighton and 35.9 for Leeds. One goal there. All of the percentages there for NetxG are quite even. Leeds with a 1.12 NetxG, Brighton with 1.01. So I could definitely see that 1-1 as well. To get into the stats from the chances perspective, Brighton joint top for fewest big chances conceded, only 2. And only 6 out of 31 chances created from the center for Brighton. So there's your Danny Welbeck stat to support your Danny Welbeck hate, Mariner.
I don't hate him. I've been talking him up.
But you should talk him up. Maybe you should hate him a little more.
As Tony.
I don't like. I'll hate Welbeck for you. I not good. Don't get Welbeck or other assets from the areas where Brighton actually attacks. That might be more useful.
Unless you're playing a draft game, assets like Welbeck just seem like scraping the barrel in FPL.
Yeah, exactly. Draft. Somebody owns Welbeck already in your draft league, most likely, unless you're playing like a 4.
At least we don't have to own Neil Maupay.
Exactly. At least he's out of our lives. On the other side, Leeds have only created 6 out of their 30 chances from the right-hand side. So they're very much centrally and left-based in their attack. And it will be interesting to see if that kind of normalizes as we get more data. Again, take all of this data with a grain of salt, especially zonal data. Zonal data is really unreliable because it largely depends on opposition. From the expected data, Brighton are third best with expected goals conceded non-penalty of 2.49. And they've faced a forgiving expected goals on target conceded of 1.4. So the expected goals conceded is 2.49, and then the quality of the shot is down to 1.4. So Brighton are a little bit, I would call that a little bit of a, like it's a little bit of fool's gold there. If teams start just shooting how they should be shooting based on the XG that they're given, then Brighton could be conceding more. But as of now, I do agree with you, Mariner, that Sanchez is probably the best 4.5 or 4.6 million goalkeeper. Leeds have the third best expected goals non-penalty, 4.95, which I thought was really interesting. However, Brendan Aronson's when he took the ball from Mundi there, that was a 0.99 XG. So maybe take that away, or maybe, but the thing is, you can't really take that away because that's how Leeds play. Leeds press, and Americans have this kind of like identity to their gameplay. We saw in the just today the Rangers beat PSV, right? And it was with the press from the American midfielder there that they won the ball, and they won 1-0. So Americans are developing this identity in their pressing game that I think is repeatable. So I don't, just do with that stat what you want, that 0.99 XG there.
I just want to know why it wasn't
shots. Brighton only 27 shots in the box, 4 shots in the 6, and 4 out of 4 goals in the box. And Leeds very similar, with 27 shots in the box, 7 shots in the 6, and 6 out of 7 of their goals have been in the box.
Yeah, I want to know why that wasn't an XG of 1.
Because it's not in.
Because because like it's like probability can only be 99%.
I mean,
right?
It's like a moron missed from there.
No, but you can't.
Actually,
you can't. Like lightning could strike.
I've seen. I could find a clip for you. Where the player's like right there and he kicks the grass and falls.
See, it's possible, man. I'm telling you.
Neil Morphy.
I feel like we're just heckling in between the tactics, basically.
No, it was Timo Werner.
I'm heckling as usual. That's normal. There's normally heckling going on. I've already been heckled about my KDB move, so I'm heckling back now. That's my prerogative, right?
We are starring the questions as they come in, guys.
Yeah,
they will be answered.
Yeah. If we see questions relative to the matchups, we'll answer them there and then as well. Chelsea Leicester, Gabe. I've already basically said I think Brodge is dead man walking. Where's the NetxG coming from this week?
It's interesting that with NetxG here, I think I agree. Brodge's his time is up. It's a couple years late in my opinion. But
you bad man.
Hey, I've been hating on all of them for years, on Barnes, on Brodge, on the whole lot. It's about time. I'm glad it's finally happening. NetxG has a 41% chance of a clean sheet for Chelsea here, and the reason is because of the shots and how, or the Leicester hater. Yeah, maybe. Like Leicester just don't get big chances. They're tied for last with Bournemouth for only 1 big chance. They get numbers of chances, but they're all really small. They have the second worst expected goals on penalty, only 1.37. And they have the third best expected goals non penalty delta. So they're overperforming their XG by the third highest rate, is plus 3.63. So I don't know. It's hard to call, right? Because I don't like the clean sheet for Chelsea because of the amount of chances that Leicester get, and the fact that Koulibaly, he'll be suspended. But at the same time, I don't really trust the chances for Leicester. So I think I would if I were to have to choose, I'd say Chelsea do get that clean sheet one thing about Chelsea is they've had 31 shots in the box and 0 shots in the 6. And I mean, that has Havertz's name written all over it. It has Tuchel's name written all over it, because when you pull Reece James back to center back, then you lose your creativity. There's all sorts of tactical and tactical problems from the manager and technical problems from the players. So I don't know. I don't see this game as really predictable. It could be out of control, and it could be a 3-3, or it could be a tight 1-0 for Chelsea. I don't see Leicester winning it, though.
Yeah, interesting. Nehal's Leicester defensively open and Chelsea don't know how to put the ball in the net. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let's see what happens with this one.
Pretty much.
I mean, like,
Gordon is going to save them. He's going to deflect one in.
Come on.
Can we laugh at Ward and Everson owners for a little while, please? The double 4-0. They deserve a good laughing at, I think.
I was with quite a few people who went for them at Fest and Meets on the deadline day, and I just couldn't do it to myself. But I did something worse. I played Ward in game week 1 and 3 instead of Sanchez, so it's pretty much as bad as owning both those fuckers.
Is James a hold or a sell? Who's answering that?
Well, I bought him last week for the blank.
So you're holding him.
I'm definitely holding him. I would probably sell, because my history with Reece James is I normally miss all his hauls and own him for all his blanks. So I don't know if that's like a sign of things to come.
You better sell him then, because I'm not selling him. I'm holding him.
No, I'm definitely holding him.
No, sell him, because you said he doesn't haul when you don't own him. So get rid of him. You sell him.
Yeah, but he's so highly owned. If he blanks, half the game blanks with me.
So FPLA plus Nima has screwed us again. He will not fall.
When you see 1-0 Leicester this week, you know who to send the hate mail to on Twitter.
Yes, we do.
It's because I signed him.
What I will say is I think the Chelsea the double up on Chelsea defense is an atrocious idea. It's if you did that last week, I say jump off of it. It was bad. It was a bad idea last week. We talked about it on the show. It's a worse idea now.
At the moment, defensive double ups don't seem to have worked very well, do they?
Well, they didn't this past week, but I think a City defensive double up could still be good. Possibly, and a Brighton defensive double up could be good.
This weekend, my Liverpool defensive double up is looking extremely dodgy right now, but they've got Bournemouth.
No, so they don't look dodgy this weekend. They look good.
Not dodgy this weekend. We're talking about Liverpool Bournemouth now.
There we go.
Interestingly enough, just as if by magic, Liverpool Bournemouth appears. We've already set the scene, Gabe, before you arrived about the all these transfers out of Liverpool players and this, that, and the other. I also put a short out yesterday for 1 minute. So if you want to watch it, guys, go and find it. You'll get my you'll get my 1 minute views on selling Liverpool assets. I managed to avoid swearing, just. Gabe, Liverpool, Bournemouth. I'll tell you what I see here. I see 4-0 at least. There we go.
I thought you were going to say you see the 72.4% chance of a clean sheet for Liverpool according to NetxG. That's the highest I think I've ever seen.
I didn't see that. I do now.
Yeah. So anybody on that Liverpool defensive double up, go ahead, sell Robbo. I think this is a nailed clean sheet. But I'm going to sum this one up just because it's such a lopsided affair.
Did you hear him? Did you hear him? Sorry. Did you hear him? That is a nailed clean sheet. That is, if that goes wrong,
I'm going to clip that.
You are getting plastered all over Twitter.
He's making the big claims.
There's no bad press, right? Is what they say.
We just want views.
We know that know about that, right?
Right, Gabe. Sorry, I'm interrupting you all the time today. Fire away.
All good. I'm going to summarize this one. I won't go through each line itemized here, but basically Liverpool needs to score more of their big chances. They've only scored 2 of 8, and they're first for shots in the box with 40 shots in the box, but they're only 11th for shots on target with 12 shots on target. That's their big problem. Their shots are not on target. And then Bournemouth are just bad in pretty much every category, and they're overperforming. So take that for what it's worth. They're last in every category for shots, and they're overperforming those stats with 2 goals.
Is that because of Gerrard?
That's because of Gerrard, exactly.
It could be.
The only reason they look good because they returned even though they shouldn't, and only Gerrard could let that happen.
That's right. That's right.
That's probably true.
And the most likely result here, according to the shots model goal predictor from NetxG, is a 2-0 Liverpool win. I'd say probably a 3-0. I think Mariner, if they fix their shots on target problem, they could stretch it to 4 or even more as an 11% chance of 4 or more goals in this one.
Yeah, we'll come on to the captaincy in a bit. I'm just going to give you one stat before we get there. Liverpool have created 24 chances down their right so far this season.
And how many of Bournemouth conceded down their left? It's definitely a lot.
I've not got that number, but I'll tell you what, the matchup's very good.
Well, they were absolutely sliced by City down the left, and then that's why you saw Odegaard and Saka look a bit more alive last game, and Jesus played on that wing as well instead of on the other wing because they saw what City did to their side. So Trent and Salah on that wing where Bournemouth sucks.
It is. I would have to say that the zonals are, albeit like Gabe says, a little bit patchy at this moment in time because it depends who you play. But generally speaking, you would see that Liverpool's right's very strong, and of course, like you said, you saw the chances coming last week from down that side as well. Yeah, I think you're about right there, Nima. To be honest with you, mate, it could be
just on Diaz.
So could be a long afternoon for Bournemouth.
No, definitely. I think just on Diaz as well, it's worth saying because obviously Gabe, you've said about his direct dribbling style favouring matches like this against weaker opposition. So I think even in the United game, he was the only one that looked like there was any form of life in him. Like obviously he was getting frustrated, but he's just got like these moments of magic in him where like he can turn it on. And I think when it's a team that isn't as pumped as United were coming off such a bad spanking against Brentford, I do see that like Diaz could haul silly here. People say like he's not going to score a worldie every week, but he's scored quite a few worldies from what I've seen. So it's not unlike him. Like he's clearly capable. I just think like obviously if you got Robbo this week, doing the double move to get Diaz is a bit wild. Whereas for me, like I did it last week with the punt that they wouldn't keep the clean sheet against United. So I feel like I got out then. I now expect Robbo to do quite well this week. But I'm hoping, I was hoping Diaz did something last week. He obviously didn't. Now this is like the next 2-3 weeks ahead of like when I'm hoping to get my money's worth. Because my view was that with Firmino playing, he's going to play more like a playmaker and bring in Salah and Diaz into the game to take the shots. Whereas Núñez was hogging the shots up front when he came on the pitch for Liverpool. So I feel like if there's ever a week to rely on both Diaz and Salah in the double Liverpool attack, after the bad start they've had, they're going to want to prove something. Fabinho should hopefully be fitter than he was, so he should start. Like we're in a situation where, they're missing some players, but Cavallo looked great when he played. I'll let you pronounce his name though. But he looked great. And I wouldn't be surprised if he starts the game or comes on earlier because he again looked very lively apart from Diaz. He was the only player I kind of thought, wow, okay, this guy looks good. Like he's actually trying to do something. So I'm really excited by Liverpool attack this week. But I wouldn't be moving Robbo to Diaz as a move.
No, but I could do Alisson out, Diaz in as well as another route I've got. That's the other thing. That would be the hold. That would be the hold Haaland route.
I think that's the route what to go from Alisson to Sanchez and Bailey to Diaz or something. Do you have that kind of?
I don't know. I can do that.
I mean, if you're looking at Alisson baseline 6 points, so Diaz has to get 10 in order for that move to work out.
That's the point. He's only going to get 6 points. But these are the challenges I've got to think about. But there's about 3 different routes I could go with these transfers. But one of them is Foden out, Diaz in. Because I am a bit, particularly the fact Foden played 60-odd minutes in a bloody friendly. It does make me question a lot of things about
He's on the naughty step for not crossing to Haaland.
Through somebody.
Twice.
The other one,
Twice.
yeah, no, but the first one, fair enough. But the second one, it was through him. It was through me.
But I mean, for a different game.
Yeah.
It's like every week he's still not passing to Harley.
First one I completely saw. The second one wasn't clear cut to me. Anyway, Manchester City against Crystal Palace, Gabe. Time check 1 hour 15, boys.
Okay. City Palace here. I think this is a really interesting one. I don't think the stats have really caught up to the Palace that we're seeing develop this season, especially in the tough fixtures that they've had. Obviously, Manchester City. Let's see, from the chances, they have a 6 out of 13 big chance conversion ratio. I expect that to increase. They should be putting away more of those big chances, and I think one of the reasons is that they only have 5 shots in the 6 this season, which is quite low for their standards anyway. From an expected stats point of view, their XGOT is always way above their expected goals, and that's continuing this season. It's already almost 3 points higher there. Let's see, and then Crystal Palace. Obviously, their creativity is mostly from the left-hand side with Eze and Zaha. They have the. I think they're a little bit of there's a term in the US. I don't know if you guys use it in other places in the world called sleepers. Like if a player or an FPL asset is a sleeper, that means there's something brewing there and they could explode. And I think the Palace assets are that, but probably after like a game week 9 wildcard or something like that. And the reason I think that is that they have the 3rd lowest XGOT delta. So that's obviously goals minus expected goals on target. So the quality of their shots have been better than what their goals have produced. So if that continues, I think they will start producing more goals. And as the fixtures turn as well. They've also had a decent 29 shots in the box despite difficult fixtures to start the season. So I think Palace and players like Eze, Jean-Philippe Mateta and Zaha will all be interesting options. I think for now, Zaha is probably the only interesting one here for us.
Yeah. Zaha always does well against the tough teams, doesn't he? The moment it's an easy fixture, then he starts blanking. That's the that's the problem there. I know the guy, one of the lads in one of the mini leagues I'm in, is a Palace fan and is at the top because he owns Zaha. There we go. Just shows, doesn't it, sometimes? But anyway, there we go. Yeah, not a lot to talk about that. We'll just quickly touch back on Manchester City when we do the zonals. Arsenal against Fulham. Yeah, well, we've already covered this one on the fixture difficulty, guys. My view is could be a hammering again. Whereabouts are you with this game?
I don't know if it'll be a hammering. I think Arsenal will win comfortably, but I don't know that they'll hammer Fulham. Fulham they've been a lot better than we thought they'd be. Obviously, they're much better at home than they are away, and I think that split is going to continue, and then we'll monitor that. Arsenal, they concede more from the left than they do 10 chances from the left that they conceded compared to 8 from the right and center combined. So that could be something. Fulham have equal chances created from the right as they do from the left and center combined. So that's a kind of mismatch that Fulham could potentially exploit. So I don't know if I think that mismatch there. Again, we have to take this with a grain of salt because these are zonal stats after just three matches in the season. But if that continues to kind of go that way, I could see maybe Fulham nicking a goal in this one, maybe ruining an Arsenal clean sheet. But I do see Arsenal winning. We see the NetxG likes them they have almost a 28% chance of 2 goals, 14.5% chance of 3 goals. Highest percent likelihood here in the shot model goal predictor is 1-1. But I see a 2-1 or a 3-1 kind of more comfortable Arsenal win here. Fulham have the 3rd best expected goals on target, which is the quality of their finishing with a 5.54. So that combined with the zonal kind of matchup there those two things combined could kind of give Fulham that goal there.
Yeah, I mean, I've just looked at the zonals. Actually, I'm just looking at it right now. So Fulham 1.3 left, 2 centre, both are terrible. Right 3.7.
Yeah.
Pereira. That's if I don't resolve my Bailey issue, I might play him.
I think he's a fine play. He's 4.5 million.
Yeah.
He'll get you at least 2 points nailed. It's fine for 4.5 million.
I thought you were going to say he'll
it's
get
okay.
you at least a point. He's not. Look, he's much better than Brownhill.
Yes.
Mr. 1 point himself from last season. We had Binary Brewster, we had Binary Brownhill. Who else are we going to have? Yeah, we need another one, don't we? We need another laughing stock. What? Decimal De Silva or someone like that. I'm not quite sure. Maybe if you could have half a point, you might get one. Who's next? Do you want to add anything, by the way, on Arsenal Fulham Nima, or have you done it all on your bite-sized podcast?
Yeah, so I went for a 3-1 prediction.
Just a very quick plug.
Yeah, so I went for a 3-1 in the preview of the Fulham game. I predicted 3-1. I do think that one of the reasons, though, that we're perhaps seeing that the left side is where we're conceding from is because we're basically not playing with a left back. We're just like not having a defender. We've basically got 3 centre backs who defend. And then last game, I saw more of like Gabriel basically played left back. And Zinchenko just kind of plays wherever the fuck he wants. It's not even like tucked in as an inverted fullback in left CM. Like he just plays wherever he can dictate as much of the game as possible. So I think there's a reason there's a hole there. Like we're just actively choosing to not play with someone and hope that we can win up possession up the pitch. I think Jesus had won like 12 duels last game. So the fact that he's even competing for that many duels, it makes you think, how high up the pitch are Arsenal playing? How high is the defensive line? So I think Saliba was like right in the middle running the show. He had 100% pass completion game from 74 passes. And it's like the highest 100% pass completion for an Arsenal player since 2003, 2004, when this data even exists from. So I was like, okay, that's fucking wild. Like, how do you... And it wasn't like all passes to Gabriel and Ramsdale. There was lots of passes to like Odegaard, Zinchenko, pushing it up the pitch, progressing the ball. So I was like, okay, this is exciting. But I do wonder, one thing I have in mind is because they're going to attack from that side, I do wonder if maybe you see Tierney like sub on earlier. So if it's like a cagey game and we're winning like 1-0, I do wonder if you might see Tierney come on very early just to do 1v1 defending and try to prevent Mitrovic cutting in from that side. But yeah, that's just one thing, which is I do start to think with 3 games in 7 days, we're going to start to see some of those fullbacks in like Tomiyasu and Tierney slowly break into some starting 11s. And we don't know which centre-back will drop out if Tommy does become a nailed starter. And at 4.3 million, he's just one to watch. I want to put out there because he could even drop more. And by the time he does become a starter, he could be like a 4.1 million Arsenal fullback. And he could be like in the best 11 going forwards.
Mitrovic is an interesting one. I think it was Planet FPL I was listening to this week, and they spoke about just look at the matchups on with Mitrovic against a fullback. Watch him pull off towards that back post if there's a small fullback, and overpower the fullback on the far, with the headed chances on that far post. I tell you what, he's played super. Very, very impressed with Mitrovic right now. Not for me right now because I couldn't have 2. I couldn't have 2 Fulham players right now. I've already got 1, but do like him. The
one thing I'll say about Andres Pereira is he tends to float around the left side of the field, and the opportunity for Fulham here is on the right side.
True, but he's right-footed, isn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he was. He always seemed to pop up on the right when I was watching him. Anyway, fair enough. Let's keep going.
Before you go, can I say one thing on Xhaka? So Nehal says he's going to be key to the game, and hopefully he doesn't get himself sent off as hurting himself. So I think what I've seen from Xhaka is that he's basically been told like by Arteta, like, look, I'm going to give you more responsibility in like the build up, like get up the pitch and do more up there. And if you want to have like dictate the game, dictate it up there. And you're not going to be seeing Xhaka having to run back into his box to defend and giving away penalties like he used to. I feel like he's basically being told, like, that part of your game, you don't need it. Like, and he looks behind himself and he's like, oh, okay, like Gabriel's there, Saliba's there, White's there, Partey's there. Like, they've got it covered. I don't need to run back. So I do think his responsibilities have changed a bit. And you would hope to think that he's not going to kind of be up the pitch, down the pitch defending again in the future.
Nihal's saying there'll be a time when we'll have 3 from Fulham: Mitro, Andreas, and Stansfield. No, Stansfield, no, he won't be there for it. He won't be there as a 4.5. I could see maybe 2 when the fixtures get better, but not now. Not now. Villa West Ham. This could be West Ham flat bottom. Stats tell a different story, I think. Aston Villa. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot wrong here, right? I think West Ham could get something here. That Villa have the second most chances conceded from their right, and West Ham have the third most chances created from their left. The problem is that West Ham's they're underperforming their XG, and they only have 8 shots on target this season, which is second worst in the league. So I think West Ham need Maxwell Cornet, an old favorite of mine. They need him in there. They need him on the left wing there for Ben Rahma. Fornal could play at the 10, and Scamacca needs to come in for Antonio. Unfortunately, I think so. They need some changes that they haven't made, that they haven't committed to, and I think Villa needs some changes as well. I think Buendia unlocks kind of like a movable piece from midfield for them, where they all seem kind of static, just kind of getting the ball to the front 3 and then their first few matches, and that's kind of they're predictable. It's not really working. They're not much better with only 10 shots on target this season. So I don't know. It's going to be a tactically frustrating game. Probably not much happening. NetxG really likes the 1-1 here. It sees it pretty even all the way across. Certainly likes the draw. I don't like any assets from any of these teams just yet, but if Cornet and Scamacca can unlock this team, Fornal's at 5.5 when their fixtures change could be interesting, and Cornet himself at 6.0 could be an interesting asset.
Yeah, I think there's a question about Bowen earlier on. Someone was on Bowen. There's nothing to suggest that that anything's gonna change anytime soon. Just looking at the numbers for me. And he's just that bit more expensive. And I think if you don't own a Diaz, that seems a fairly obvious move. Although you may have 3 Liverpool, so you might have to do something to get him in.
Yeah, so there's one live soccer. He went early on Bowen, and he's now wondering if he should be going for Diaz, or is that just too obvious?
Yeah.
Is there someone else? I think it is Diaz with this fixture coming up.
It's very obvious. And with the fixtures going forwards, and you get some money in the bank, a little bit of money in the bank as well. I would do it.
I think one thing I will say is just keeping an eye on Emerson, because he's 4 million. He's just signed. I've been talking to some West Ham season ticket holders. I said, who drops out if he gets into the 11? Because it's not going to be straight away. And they all seem to think that Cresswell will be the one to suffer for it. And like, he could move to a centre-back position if they play a back 3. Or he could just drop out completely, and Perrault, the new injured centre-back they signed, could also take over. So there's a chance Cresswell either falls to centre-back or falls out entirely. And Emerson at 4 million around game week 7, if he's starting every week, that could be an incredible amount of money to save, I think.
He would be the best 4 million asset.
Yeah, like I'd rather have a 4 million wing-back from West Ham than from Forest, who clearly are allergic to clean sheets.
Hell, he might have 2. He might have 2 4 million players sat in there. I mean, I don't think Neco Williams is a bad. I still don't think Neco Williams is a bad pick.
He's great for the bench. Yeah, I think I learned the mistake. To start him was an error.
And how close would they? I mean, as a closet Forest fan, it's not very often I'm pleased that they conceded late, but I was. I was this weekend. It's like, oh, thank God,
he did take a nice shot. I think his expected attacking numbers are very good. I think he's got some of the highest for a defender without a return, attacking
No, I
return.
agree. Yeah, no, definitely.
Just on Cornet quickly. So there is also talks in the preferred lineups of there is an option of like Emerson playing in centre back as well in a back three with Cornet playing as the left wing back. So I think I don't see it happening, but he was signed as both like attacking cover and wing back cover, it sounds like. So he could end up being a poo, right? A reverse out of position.
Right. Wolves, Newcastle.
Wolves, Newcastle. Wolves are a changing team, and I think Neto dropping in value actually could present an opportunity for some managers. I'm certainly looking at him now after seeing Mateus Nunes and Gonzalo Guedes up front for Wolves. Mateus especially has this hybrid 8-10 role. I think he's quite a player, so I'm interested to see how Wolves change thanks to those additions. Newcastle have conceded the most big chances, 10, and Wolves have the joint fewest chances conceded through the center. So those are, from a chances perspective, like kind of like the two that we're looking for. I know Callum Wilson is injured. Newcastle just bought Alexander Isak from Real Sociedad. And I have to be honest, this is keep your eye on this player. This guy is a baller. He's really, really good. I know Arsenal have wanted him for several years.
The Swedish lad, Gabe. Yeah.
Yep. Arsenal have been trying to get him for a while. They don't need him now. But I'd be curious to see what his price is. But I don't see Newcastle going through the center so much against Wolves. They are going to try to penetrate the flanks. That's where Wolves are most vulnerable. From a shots perspective, Wolves have the third fewest shots in the box with only 19 shots in the box and only 1 shot in the 6. I do think that Mateus Nunes and Gonzalo Guedes, they could change that. Guedes up front, we're gonna have to see how kind of what the impact of the return of Jimenez is on him. That's very much a wait and see. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to play together. They've also been linked to Bruno Lage. Apparently, is interested in Sasha Kalajdzic, and Sasha Kalajdzic is a 6'7" striker that is just this enormous target guy, good with his feet. So that would change completely the way Wolves play. So keep an eye on Wolves. They're a wait and see, but they're a team that I'm very interested in. I think they're also a sleeper team.
Sounds like Vegos to me.
Well, I'm keeping Neto, so that was obviously a question from earlier.
Can I just make a point?
Mm-hmm.
Top of XG per 90 for Wolves this season. Who do you think it is?
Podence.
No.
Neto.
Den bloody Donker. 0.28. Avoid. Enough.
He's a yeah. So I think they had like something like 38 goals in 41 games last year, including cup games or something wild like that. So like we know they don't score goals, but I think again this is where your data head is mismatching with Gabe's more tactical head.
It's 0.26.
Yeah, but you're looking at data based on a team that played a back 5 for a manager that wanted to play a back 4 and wants to play attacking football. They've had one fixture with 2 attacking signings just starting. Guedes and Nunes. They have 3 of the best attacking fixtures in the next 3. But I just think it's wild to sell Neto now when you hold him for all these blanks. You've missed all the price drops. And now is the week to sell him. Like, I just feel like it was always earmarked that game week 7 is when Wolves fixtures turn bad. Like, that's when you sell. So I just feel like one of those situations of last year, right? Last year, I had Tony at the start. He blanked. Everyone sold him. He dropped from 6.5 to 6.3. Exact same situation happening now. I'm calling it. You can clip it. It's going to happen. And then I kept Tony. And at the end of the year, Live FPL's data said that Tony was my biggest rank gain out of like my top 5 players I owned all year. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Neto. He's plummeted in value, in ownership, and these fixtures and the new attacking style he wants to play, he's going to get a couple goals in the next 3, and I'm going to be hauling my way to the top.
Brilliant. Can't wait to see it.
So, Mariner, just to go to that XG point. So, Wolves have a 3.44 XG, which is kind of like mid-table, but their expected goals on target is only 1.92, and they only have 1 goal. So their shots have not been quality shots, which is shown by the expected goals on target. And even to add to that, they've been a little bit unfortunate with those, and they've underperforming those underperforming stats. And with these two new players, I just think things could change. I might, if I don't know what else to do this week, one thing I'll never do in FPL is burn a transfer. If I don't know what else to do, I might do Eza to Neto for this match.
Just on that note, Homeless Guy makes a valid point. He's seen right through me. Neto will haul at Arsenal. Basically, I just want 4 Arsenal players in my team, and I'm holding him just in case he comes to Arsenal, so I can have 4 Arsenal players. That's the true ulterior motive here at play. But we should move off these guys. I think, yeah, like Newcastle is exciting. Keep an eye on Isaac, as you said. See how that goes. And Wolves, I don't know if I'd be like buying like you, Gabe, but I wouldn't burn a transfer either. So maybe, but I think it's like a hold, don't buy situation with Neto.
Yeah. I mean, I won't be investing in Wolves right now. If you've got them, I can see the benefit of holding Neto, like you say. But for me, I won't be investing in them. Not Forest,
Foden to Neto, Mariner. Foden to Neto.
No chance. Forest, Tottenham.
Foden to Neto and Archer to Tony. There you go.
Foden to Neto. Fetch me a bucket. Right, next. Forest, Tottenham.
Well, Tottenham are overperforming their stats, as they always do. No surprise there. They have the highest XG/NP delta of plus 2.76, which is about right. They have the second most shots on target, which is great, 17. Forest have conceded the most shots on target, 21. So that's not good for them. And this is the one stat that really stood out to me. Forest have conceded the most chances from the right side, 20, which is 23. The second most is 13 from their right side. So we'll get to the kind of the implications of that a little bit later in the show. NetxG likes Spurs, obviously, in a 1-0 win. They see a 42.4% chance of a Spurs clean sheet here. So we're talking, the likes of Lloris, obviously, and Ben Davies and everybody but but Perisic, not Perisic because he won't start. Just had to throw that in there.
I don't know. He was in the training photo recently. So
he's training.
But there was rumors of him limping, right? And like, he's holding his leg, he's injured. I think he just went off because of Traore, and he was like, I can't be arsed running against Traore. Sub me. My leg hurt.
It hurts just to look at him. But here's, if you're Antonio Conte, right, and you have Forest at the weekend, you have West Ham midweek, and then you have Fulham next weekend, and then you have Champions League midweek. Are you going to play Perisic against Forest and Fulham, or are you going to play him against West Ham and then in the Champions League?
No, I can see the logic there. But the thing with him is, I think we've always said this, he's for the type of FPL manager that loves like a 1-1-18, 1-1-12, 1-1-18. And, like other people want 6-6, 6-2, 6-2, 2-6. So it just depends what kind of heart rate you want to have going into the weekend waiting for the team sheet. We do have credible Spurs news, I would say, is worth adding here. For anyone who doesn't know, there is a guy. No, like literally, there is a journalist who Planet FPL James says, like, not only does he have sources at the club, but he probably knows the full first 11. And in game week 1, the same guy got the full 11 right. He said which wing backs were going to start. Game week 3, same thing. He said Perisic was going to start. He did. And he's putting this out 18 hours before the match. So for me, if you're on FPL Twitter, just wait till one of the content creators is like, Keith guy has tweeted the lineup.
No, the deadline will have gone by then.
We'll get the news. That means we'll get the news 6 hours after the deadline. Brilliant.
Exactly. The deadline's gone by then.
No. So he does a predicted lineup for his local newspaper. So he'll obviously do that pre the weekend. So like he will say who starts. The theory is that he's not predicting it. Like he literally knows the 11 because of his sources.
So how did he do game week 2? Did he predict the game week 2?
No, I think he did as well, but no one really cared then. So that's why I just remember these two specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, like basically he's got a 100% track record this season.
I say.
Wow.
For the entire Spurs team.
Small sample size.
I don't know who else is getting 33 out of 33 for any team in the Prem apart from me for Arsenal, because I'm in a predictors thing for Emma Jump the Wave and I'm on 100% records so far.
Wow. you're Mr. Scarface returns.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Scarface is back. Right, anyway, right, boys. So let's have a quick look at NetxG and Neto. And he is flat bottom. So there we go. There's the Wolves prediction, 0.7 goals. But anyway, no, let's look at the top end of it. So
the one thing I will say, it's actually not flat bottom.
Oh, who's bottom?
Well, the highest chance of 0 goals according to the shots model is Bournemouth.
Yeah, but I'm talking about your NetxG. So if you're not correlating, it's not my problem.
Correlation does not imply causation, my friend.
So anyway, City 1.78, right? I'm looking up next to the Arsenal 1.7, then Liverpool 1.69, then Chelsea 1.58, then Spurs 1.37.
There's a buzzing, by the way.
There's a buzzing. It's Nima, have you got some
I thought I muted myself again. Yeah, the vibrator's on.
If you deposit a token, Neiman's toy will start vibrating.
Yeah, it's probably an electric Pokemon. Battery operated Pokemon, is it?
That's what it is.
What the hell is that? Oh, it's a fan.
Hand from my main fan broke.
Right, okay. Anyway, right, let's quickly cover that. So we've got, I think that pretty much correlates with what we were looking at earlier, Gabe, with the fixture difficulty. I think it's correlating fairly well this week, actually.
Yeah.
It hates Wolves. It doesn't like Bournemouth, hardly surprising. Aston Villa, yes, well, enough said about those. Yeah, all right. So we've done these. We've done the matchups. We've done the fixture difficulty. We quickly want to cover the zones, and there's the zones, right? So now let's just try and sense check. What are the best zone matchups this week, boys? Liverpool's right. 5.7, Mo and Trent. All right, fairly obvious. Right, what else have we got? City's right. Who, though? Who? Foden? Mahrez? God knows. No idea. Mahrez played 90 minutes, didn't he?
He played till the end. Foden will start. He plays 66 minutes. He'll be fine, and you're going to sell him, and he's going to get 21 points.
Will Foden go on the left and Mahrez the right because Grealish is out?
Probably. No, Mahrez definitely won't play.
No, Mahrez won't play.
I just don't see Mahrez playing. I just can't see Mahrez playing. Like, there's something about Pep and Mahrez.
So the $1 million question, guys, do we see Foden playing on the right or not? Because that, to me, is a hold or a sell. Literally.
I don't know how many minutes Bernardo played, but he could play on the right wing with Foden on the left. That is a possibility.
Mm-hmm. And that might make me sell him. All right. The next one is West Ham's left against Villa. 4.7. Fornals has he drifts out to that left side a little bit, Gabe. We've obviously got Ben Rama as well. You could have, who else could you have? Cornet? Could he go there?
Yeah, Cornet, he needs to go there. Ben Rama, as Nehal said in the chat earlier, he's just been so wasteful this season. Certainly not the clinical start he had last season. So I'd love to see Cornet out there. We saw some of his brilliant finishes when he first came to Burnley last season. So.
Yeah. So fair enough. So West Ham's left. Brighton's left against Leeds. That's again. Is this a fake weakness for Leeds defense? I don't know, but it likes Trossard. If that's the case,
I'm not convinced on Trossard. I know they've signed a defender, but like he's been playing wing back. I don't really want to buy a midfielder just playing wing back. Is kind of my thinking.
He's playing wing back though. He's
in a back three. Yeah,
it's how it looks like he is, but he's not in that wing back. He's not playing.
He's like Zinchenko, right? Like he's playing further up, but he is a left wing back out of possession.
It's Potter's 3-box-3 formation, right? And the wing backs go from so you have 3 at the back and you have a box in midfield, right? And and then you have 3 up front, and then you have the wing backs that go up and down, and then that's where Trossard is playing. But Pervis Estupiñán is going to come in there, the Ecuadorian. He's and I expect Trossard to probably move kind of where Pascal Gross is, and then Gross probably to the bench. So Trossard could move forward. I wouldn't be surprised if Trossard moves forward.
That's a big one, because we've been asked if Gross operates on the right, which he has done so far on the right of that free midfield. But you reckon he could be benched? Damn.
Gross, yeah.
Yeah. People were doing Neto to Gross in here, so.
That's another one of the narratives, like get Gross in and without understanding who is. I mean, people don't know who Estupiñán is.
Narratives. You're all too negative. You are. Remember Lacazette last year? Lack of threat.
He basically got some
returned in
assists,
2 matches and then disappeared for the rest of the season.
But I had him for those 2 matches.
Mate, Jesus had as many Jesus had as many open play goals by game week 2 this season as Lacazette all of last year. Lack of threat is a fine enough statement.
In the interest of time and the fact I've got to go to work, we need to carry on. Everton against Brentford, 4.5. Is it 4.5? Where is it? Whereabouts are Everton Brentford? Everton Brentford, 4.5 down the middle. Havana Onana? Who else have we got in there? I don't even know who the hell they're going to play there anymore. Who?
If you're thinking about buying Everton
just have
players
that prick.
based on zonal data now.
I'm just having a laugh because I saw that in the chat and I quite like it.
This is not draft league.
What's a bad matchup this week? Let's have a look. Well, West Ham centre and right, horrible too. Leicester left against Chelsea, 1.7, which is the lowest one. I can't see a lower one. Oh, there we go. Bournemouth against Liverpool, 1.3 down the left, down their left. That suggests that's strange because Liverpool's right normally concedes chances. They must be really bad. Long range stuff. I'm not sure if we could very quickly touch it. Who looks the better? Well, obviously the standouts we've got Liverpool right, 21. Spurs right. Wolves left. Interestingly, City left. City
left. Yeah, that Foden that you think is going to play left wing that you're selling.
God. Right. Anyway, enough of this.
Let's go to captaincy.
No, we need to do the.
Oh, we got the Don Juan.
Pick, and it's it's Heung-min Son. You have been watching You have been looking at the zonals, my friend.
well, the zonals for the left for Spurs only reads at 3.0, and I mean it's
5. I've got it at 5.
Well, is that what you just showed?
No.
I didn't see 5 there on the screen.
Hang on, unless you were looking at the wrong one. 5.
Oh, yeah. Nope, there it is, 5. And it's because of that outrageous stat that Forest have conceded 23 chances from the right-hand side. Son has been obviously the Spurs have only created 3 chances down the left side all season. And I just think to myself, do we really expect this not to change? And so I just like Son to feast this weekend against a team that has allowed the most chances on the right by almost double the second worst team on that side. I think Son gets involved in the FPL conversation this week.
I can't wait to see Richarlison start instead of Son this weekend.
That would be typical.
We are evil. We are evil people.
Typical.
Oh, yeah.
that literally would be absolute gold. I would piss myself laughing if that happened. You know me, I thrive on misfortune. I reckon there's enough stuff to clip on this show which could sink us, or we could go stratospheric. There's all sorts of stuff here. We could really go to shit as well.
Oh, it could be Perisic. Yeah, exactly. That's where the haul is coming from.
Oh,
Comes straight
God.
from Perisic and just
After
buries
saying
us
he
all.
won't start, yeah.
After saying he won't
I'm
start.
picking Son as the Don Juan.
Exactly.
That would be the ultimate. I might not be around next week.
It's an interesting point. We're going to do the captaincy in 10 seconds, in a few seconds. But before we do that, I am shocked, Gabe, that you have predicted so much this week. You've normally got that many. You're normally sat on that fence that much. You've got splinters up your ass.
That's true. That's fair. I finally got all the splinters out of my ass, and I want to keep it
your
that
inner
way.
predictor.
It's the metrics fault. That's
This
what
is
numbers
why
does
he
to
invented
you.
NetxG, because
Or
it's
is it
like
or
that
is it
was
the
how
cat's
he got
fault?
to it.
Is it the
like,
cat's fault?
I don't make the prediction. It's the numbers that make the prediction.
Right. Okay. Captain metric. Let's go. And the metric is no longer drunk. It is Mo Salah. And I think it's pretty obvious. I didn't get a chance to put the EO in, but I did a little poll ourselves. And I think I don't know if anybody's got a chance to check it quickly on Twitter. When I looked at it last night, I think we were talking about more than 70% of people were captaining Salah over Jesus. Mm-hmm. I think that is sensible this week. I think his ownership is going to be super high. Let's quickly run through it. Salah, his form is not great. That's the only thing we've got, but it's not terrible. All right. Now, if you take the end of last season out and you just put this season's data in, his form improves and he becomes a better captain. Better shout.
I just want to say something on Salah not being in good form, which I think again is like a bit of a narrative. Like I know Liverpool haven't been great, but I put this in the Discord earlier today, I think, or one of these days, where it essentially showed that like in the last 33 starts that Salah has had, he's like returned in like 27 of them or something, and in that time he's got something wild like 28 goals, 15 assists. So I'm like, I don't know what people want from 33 starts, but 50 attacking returns sounds pretty bloody good to me. So I just think the whole thing is wild. The idea that he's like not in form, like
end of last season,
it's wild.
Remember the end of last season, he really wasn't in great form. He really wasn't. And this is the problem. The data, it depends where you're looking at the data. And you make a very, very valid point. You can pull a narrative whichever way you want from this data, but let me summarize this for you. All right. Fixture difficulty, best. Predicted points on Hub, best. Matchup, NetxG and Zonals, third. 24 chances down the right in 3 games for Liverpool. 5.7 chances per 90 expected. 65% chance of 2.5 goals or more. He's involved in 43% of expected goals. He's on penalties. And it's Bournemouth. Don't overthink it. Just don't overthink it. If you go against the house here, you could lose it.
So your poll is 700 responses so far, and 75% are captain Salah.
There we go. He's going to be, very high. I'm not saying. Oh, well, I'm going to say it. He's borderline triple captain material. He's borderline. I like the double fixtures for triple captains. We all do, right? We all like that. But, there's worse shouts out there. Kane next. Again, take the data. Kane's recent data, not so good. Kane's longer term data, pretty good. Again, which narrative do you want? Do you want all 6? Do you want 6 games or 3 games? If you look at 6 games, Kane's fine. If you look at 3 games, he drops. Right? But he's solid on matchups. 4th fixture difficulty, 3rd for predicted points, 8th for hauls, 7th for returns. I don't know whether I would consider him on the wane slightly, though. I don't know what you boys think. What he does seem to be doing is popping up a little bit more on set pieces these days. But yeah, I don't know whether I completely agree with the metric here. I think my personal view is I would swap Kane and Jesus round. I think Jesus would be my second choice for captain this week. Any comments on Kane before I move on? I mean, you've already mentioned Son, and Son's below Kane, and you've gone Son. So that tells me, Gabe, maybe you've got a bit of an issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I think the matchup lines up better for Son. It's just too lopsided. That's the thing. If it were a slight difference or something like that, but almost double, I just see it too much. And the fact that Son has done nothing and how important he is to the team, I think he will be featured this week.
Yeah. Okay. And and the thing is, one or two returns, and then obviously the point that he gets the extra point for a clean sheet and the extra point for a goal, all of a sudden Son becomes a better option. Jesus third, obviously ownership's incredible. 80% now, guys. It's getting stupid. Second for fixture difficulty, 8th for points, 4th for hauls, 1st for returns, Fulham away, Fulham at home, I should say. 3rd ranked attack. Yeah. I don't know, Nima. I mean, you're obviously the Arsenal fan. Are you going this weekend?
No, I'm going to Budapest tomorrow.
Right. Of course you are. Yeah, sorry. I was going to say you could quite comfortably, I think you can have your half-time pints quite happily at this game. I've got a funny feeling it could be 3-0 at half-time and 3-0 at full-time. That's just how I feel it. It's just they race into an early lead and then just go and put the feet up. The only thing I would say here, Fulham have only conceded 7 chances through the middle so far. And Fulham have only conceded 3 chances on the right. So that's not. Is that again why we think that what you might find is the play is going to shift down the Arsenal's right? That says Fulham's right. They've only conceded 3 chances. So is the player going to shift down the right? Is this week not a great week for Martinelli? Is my point. I've got a funny feeling that we might see some different point returners this week from Arsenal, and therefore, while Saka is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th down there, I don't think he's an outside captaincy shout this week either. There we go. That's what I'm going to say.
I think the good point to make here, someone said it in the chat, is every week when I look at the captaincy metric, it's almost like a shopping list of who do you want. It's not even necessarily about who I'm going to captain. It's who could do the most damage this week and are they a viable transfer target for me?
Well, that's a great way of looking at it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a great way of looking at it, particularly if you're doing...
Because you can only captain one, right? Like, so I still want the rest of them, though.
But if you're looking for a haul, right, what would stand out to you? I mean, you've got players like Jesus sat there. You've got Kulusevski who hauls. You can see who want the people who tend to just haul. I think it's very obvious captaincy this week, being honest with it's Salah. But then, if you are prepared to go against the house, there's a few, right? And the one I'm just going to put the summary up now. And so we've got, obviously, the overall is Salah. If you wanted, the next best really is Kane from the perspective of the metric anyway. Your ultra differential, there we go, Raheem Sterling. Very lowly owned against a quite awful Leicester, right?
I like that shout. It's a decent shout.
Yeah.
Foden to Sterling.
6% owned.
Foden to Sterling. Do it.
I got the money. I wouldn't do it. No.
Yeah, Haaland to Vardy.
Oh, come on.
Alisson to Sanchez.
We're having another Jamie Vardy. We're not talking about him anymore on this bloody show.
All right, we've got 25 questions to get through, and we're at 2
hours.
Right,
let's go. 1 hour 50. 1 hour 58.
So these 25 questions are going to be like only one person answers each, and they're going to be like super. Like I'm giving you like 15 seconds. I saw this on Scoutcast.
Let's go.
Did. So Jonathan Daddybot on Discord says, knowing that free game weeks of data isn't much data, and with game week 3 fresh in our minds, how are you feeling about big at the back? I'll let you pick who wants to go, but you got 15 seconds.
Nervous.
You're nervous about big at the back. Is there enough
nervous.
data?
It's fine.
I
It's
just
not enough
think
data to tell anything. It's fine. It's going to be a thing later on in the season.
Because I think I can save money if I go to Saliba. There we go. Next.
All right, good. I was about to say I'm going to cut you as soon as the timer runs out, but you did it in time. Question from Nehal. Just for structural changes, which is the best option till game week 8? He's going to wildcard in 9. Robertson to Neko, KDH to Zaha, and Neto to Rodrigo. So that's to buy Rodrigo, Zaha, and Neko, but you get rid of Neto and Robbo. Or Robbo to Perisic, Archer to Tony, Neto to 4.4 mil mid. So for me, like, one of these options has a 4.4 million mid. I'll answer to one because I can see it, and it's a confusing one if you can't see it in writing. So in 15 seconds, Robbo to Perisic, Archer to Tony, Neto to 4.4 million mid isn't for me because that 4.4 million mid is not a bench option, whereas Neko is. So number one for me, I like Zaha and Rodrigo. Burbercat FPL teacher, how does the data interpret form teams like Brighton, Newcastle, Palace, and Fulham? Do you feel that certain biases need to be applied to the spreadsheet numbers in order to consider them over Man City mids or the other 8 million bracket? So players from Brighton, Newcastle, Palace, and Fulham, should we be overcoming biases in data and valuing them as much as 8 million? I don't know what he means
by bias. Data is data. The thing is with data is it's what data set you take, right?
No. So he's saying, should certain biases be applied to the spreadsheet numbers, like the bias being that these teams are in
I
form?
think you don't put biases to them. Biases is not. I think caveat is.
Cool. All right. So into the Twitter question, so not Twitter, into the live stream questions. So Kevin Rose, Perisic in for Walker, making way for a possible Gundogan midfield spot down the line. He's currently got Walker and Diaz. I love that. If you can afford Walker to Perisic and you hear that he's starting from the journalist, free up that Gundogan spot. I say go for it. I don't want double City defense. This one's for you, Mariner. Vardy to Jesus or Tony? He's currently 75% in Tony's favor.
I'm 75% in Jesus' favor. If you don't own him, get on him. For God's sake, he can destroy you.
I think you're just basically burning points that you could be gaining. Yeah. This one's for you, Gabe, from Rubber Ducky. Well, this is not really a question. I just wanted to raise this. This is the only game week he's like absolutely nervous about Salah. So I think this is the week where if you have Salah and you're not captaining him, like, what are you doing? Cosgrove, what to do with Neto? So I think I've given the speech that I'm going to keep him. And just one thing I want to add to this is people were talking about doing like Neto to gross this week. And the reason I wouldn't do that, even though I've won free transfers, I just think it's a home fixture. It's fine. They're starting to play attacking football. And do you not think that you'll have more flexibility with 2 free transfers next week? So that's kind of my view is there enough upside from 1 free transfer? Like, are you really going to gain that much from gross against Leeds this week? That having 2 moves and identifying, you're going to have 25% extra like data from another game week. Right now we have 3 weeks of data. You're going to have 1 more week of data. Imagine an amazing option emerges where you need to use 2 moves to get to it and shift your balance.
15 seconds.
I know.
We covered this like an hour ago in 15 seconds. Let's go. Next one.
But this isn't about Neto. This isn't about Neto.
This is about Neto.
No, but this isn't about Neto. Isn't about Neto. This answers 4 more questions further down, which is don't make transfers when you have 1 just to buy a player that can get similar points, because 2 free transfers is always better when you have more data to make more flexible moves. So this answers about 4 of the questions in the 22 remaining. That's why I went on about it, because now I'm going to skip those questions. So this one's for you guys. What do you do with Haaland in game week 5?
Well, great question. Personally, in game week 5, possibly, I think more likely sell than game week 4.
There's another question in here that's similar. Is he a sell if he plays 60 to 70 minutes or 80 to 90 minutes? Would you be more likely to sell him in game week 5? And if so, how many minutes would be the threshold to make you more likely to sell him in game week 5?
Yeah.
No,
I think the moment
I don't think it
was-
matters. I don't think.
look,
matter.
will he come on for 15 minutes? You know, the moment he doesn't start, for me, it becomes a problem.
Okay, so you keep until he doesn't start.
Yeah.
Even if he'll then start the next game.
Well, I
guess
think,
unless it's Champions
but it
League.
depends, doesn't it? It depends which games he's going to start. Like Gabe says, you know, is he going to start is he going to rest the easy ones, the ones that you want him for?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Forest fixture was identified right at the start of the season as a possible problem for him.
So is it not better to move to Kane now when Kane plays Forest, and you'd probably get more points by getting Kane now for the Forest fixture rather than keeping Haaland against a tougher Newcastle and then he doesn't play
It's
versus
possible.
Forest?
Yeah, I mean, it's a move you could consider for sure.
No, I don't agree with that move.
No, look, I'm saying I'm considering it. The reason I'd say it is that I do think that Forest, you know, it's Forest at home. So, you know, are we just moving around? I think I'd probably more likely change my structure and do this.
Yeah, I think
on
so.
the screen.
So Andy Mack on a wildcard, do I swap Haaland to KDB? I think that's the move if you want a
I think
premium
KDB's
City
more
player.
nailed minutes wise. If you want minutes, if you want to be pretty certain that someone's gonna play, I think KDB over Haaland every day.
One for Gabe. So when he did the matchups for United, KK was wondering if the defensive stats for United were maybe a bit skewed due to the Brentford game.
Yeah, I answered that question earlier. It's no, it has data from last season, so it's baked in there.
Manchester United stats are skewed now. Harry Maguire's not playing anymore anyway, so there we go. There's another reason.
Yeah, they're getting better.
All right, Jeffrey Levine, best mount replacement up to 8.5. He already has Martinelli in a free Liverpool slot. Yeah, I think he's overthinking not going for Diaz, especially after the captaincy metric.
Buy him.
Luis Diaz or Tony for transferring? Luis Diaz.
Yep.
Is Salah the best premium for minutes this season? He could play every game up until the World Cup and then have a whole month rest and start again. 100%. Pretty much. Kane's the only one to debate, but he has World Cup, so Salah's got the edge. This is a big one. Andy Matt, when do you think Doherty will return to the starting lineup, or will he play Europe and Emerson keeps his spot? I can't see Emerson keeping his spot. Honestly, Doherty's 4.7 million now. I will be looking to get to him 2 to 3 weeks before everyone else arrives, but the time is coming, and it's coming soon, guys. So
I disagree.
I love it.
I said what I did because I knew Gabe would disagree.
Yeah. We know you hate Spurs anyway, but I'm with you.
Let's buy Emerson so we can play Doherty.
I'm with you, Nima. Watch.
No one said get Emerson. Right. We're saying get Doherty.
No. I'm saying from Spurs' perspective. Let's go buy Emerson so we can play Doherty. Makes absolutely no sense. Doherty is not.
They bought Emerson they bought Emerson under a different manager, and he's been pretty shit for the new manager. And I think Doherty was pretty credible for him. They were going to sell Doherty until he performed the way he did.
There's a reason Doherty lost his spot.
He got injured. He didn't lose his spot. He's literally injured now, Gabe. How much bias can you have? He's literally got a broken leg right now. That's why he's not playing.
I believe. All right. So Doherty has been nailed for years until he broke his leg. Is that what you're telling me?
No, he's been nailed since he came in under the new manager and played incredible.
Since he was benched and he was shit, and then he came back, then
benched under a different manager.
There's a reason why Doherty has not made it under the starting lineup.
Benched under a different manager. He's never been benched under Conte. Find me a match that he was fit and Conte benched him, and then I'll change my mind. James, hold or sell? Hold, but I only just got him, so easy.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. What about this one for you guys, Robbie? Trippier to Perisic.
Trippier to Perisic won't do. Haven't been impressed by Mount so far. Well, Mount to Diaz, I think so. I mean, look, Mount's fixtures are actually pretty good, but something not quite right there for me. I think Diaz is very obvious.
Well, I saw Mount for Diaz last week, so I can only say yes. Yunzi, for a -4, Robbo plus Neto to 4.5 defender and Diaz, or Robbo plus Archer to 4.5 defender and Tony. So he's already on triple up Liverpool. Basically wants to get to either Diaz or Tony. I wouldn't sell Robbo against Bournemouth to get Tony in. No chance. Maybe for Diaz, but on a -4, you need a return just to break even, I don't think it's worth it. You could sell Robbo in game week 5. I think now's not the week. Use 2 free transfers instead of a -4 and then restructure. This is a big one because is Cancelo like the same player as last season? I think they mean he hasn't impressed in the last 3 games rather than last 3 seasons.
Playing on the left rather than the right. Gabe, is that the reason?
Yeah, I mean, on the he's way more attacking on the right hand side, and while he's stuck on the left, yeah, I guess the verdict is he's maybe not worth that 7 million. Yeah, I think it's worth considering a sale for like any of the big James and Cancelo. I think they're all now in the conversation. They're not as necessary to our team as they were at the beginning of the season.
Cancelo to Perisic, I love it. Next.
But this is what I was going to say. So my thinking is, if you're going to sell Cancelo or Robbo, who are you actually buying apart from Perisic?
Exactly.
Like literally, like why would you sell them if it wasn't for an explosive player, whether he starts or not? Which then makes me think you keep them because they've got better X minutes than Perisic. So people are trying to move from like a 4.5 to Edison. I think you're on the same wavelength as this guy, which is you're actually looking to go the other way, aren't you, Mariner? So this is probably a better one for you.
I did contemplate it, but I just think that you can spend the money elsewhere. And like I say, I've just got this horrible feeling about that, whether we need to consider players like Tony and players like that at that slightly more expensive third striker position. So it may be that in time I might try to funnel money forwards, and I think one way of doing it is to downgrade that goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think if you went for a premium goalkeeper, it makes sense to move down. I think it's wild that there's people out there trying to put another million into it with a free transfer. Now that's a bit wilder. Anyone got thoughts on this one?
One quick note. Doherty was on the bench 7 times under Conte last season. So I don't know.
Was this before? But was this before game week 27 when he became a starter and played the rest of the season? Because he obviously showed how good he was afterwards.
In game week 27, that's when he started, and then until game week 32, right, where he was hurt. But before that, he started, then he didn't start, and he started, and he didn't start because he couldn't get a foothold on the team because he's a shit defender. And that's not bias. That's just what he is.
They don't need him to defend. They just need him to whip the ball into Kane for my assist points.
He can definitely do that.
That's the only thing he can do. But you are right.
Definitely do that.
Defender. I don't know why they bought him from Wolves in the first place. I was just pulling your leg. Which of Robbo or Tsimikas will play between game week 4 to 6? Robbo, I think there's something interesting to say here. So on the eye test, when I watched him, Gabe, for the first few weeks, he looked like one of Liverpool's most advanced players. And he was kind of arriving in the box a lot and having opportunities to shoot. But despite that, he's like 24th in the list of defenders for like expected attacking returns. So although on the eye test, he's like in the box in the right position, like he just isn't looking like he's actually going to get points. So like, I don't know. Like, and does that then mean that Tsimikas might break his way in at some point? Like, is that really likely? I guess when Champions League starts, could that happen?
No, I don't think. I think Tsimikas he'll play. He hasn't looked great when he has come on this season, not yet. But the problem with Robbo when he gets close to the box is that he's left-footed. So when he's operating in that left kind of half space there, the angle towards the goal, his tendency would be like to bend the ball away from goal. So it's not a natural angle for a left-footed player to take that shot, which is why he wants to maybe go inside and then break towards the end line to cross the ball back. What Trent does that's different on the right-hand side is he'll cut the ball back and turn his hip and then whip it around. And he'll only go for the shot if he gets a pass kind of received from like in the Community Shield, right? Like that goal in the Community Shield kind of from the end line back towards him. Then he'll whip a shot in there. And that angle is different than when they're moving forward. So, I think that's really the difference there. But I don't see Tsimikas really taking Robbo's spot.
Yeah, neither do I. I think just to wrap up so Mariner can go to work, Hamza's last question. I think Rashford's okay, but based on what you said earlier, if you go to the United matchup with Martial playing striker, I would not be looking to kind of go to Rashford now because once he moves back to the wing and takes a Langer spot, he's not going to be as likely to get those opportunities to score. So I think I agreed with you there. And then there was one final question from Ish Paul Sagu. I would not be taking a -4 to sell Trent just to get Rodrigo and Tony. Rodrigo against Brighton. Tony's okay, but like Robbo does not provide the cover for the Liverpool defense. I think the matchups are all in Trent's favor this week, and I would be looking to hold on to Trent, not Robbo, if I had the pick, and not for a -4 to sell Trent. Don't be part of the 300,000 people that sold Trent for -4 before his 21-pointer this weekend. But yeah, that's it. That's a wrap. And
Good.
Nehal, you can be a moderator. Yeah, Nehal, you can be a moderator. We'll add you for the next show.
Any hauler who wants to be a moderator, just contact us on Discord. We're happy to make you all moderators.
Wait, Hazard. So he's got 2 free transfers. So because I said to him, roll, don't do Neto to gross. But now I realize it's part of 2. I would just do Mount to Diaz and roll 1 and then see what you can do with 2 free transfers next week. I don't think there's enough upside in the Neto to gross move that is beneficial, and you don't need it to afford the other move, I don't think. If you need it to afford, then sure, but they both sound like they're going up in price. So you must have some money in the bank. But yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Thank you. Oh, you got one more thing up there. Oh, when I overcome, so they throw another. Yes, he said as soon as you were happy with one Spurs, you picked Son, and then we were like, no, we've got to bring in someone new.
You guys, Doherty, and I'm like, fuck Doherty, and you're like, you hate Spurs. It's a trap.
So you're getting lured into it.
It's been an absolute blast. I haven't laughed so much in ages. It was a really, really great show. I hope everybody's enjoyed it. I really am going to have to go, Nima. Do you want to get us out of here?
Yeah, I'll get us out of here. Just smash that like button.
Get into the office for a meeting.
Yeah, guys, smash that like button if you found this helpful, and we'd really appreciate a vote in the Football Content Awards. The link's in the description below. You just click the link, takes 15 seconds to write Net That Haul in the best in fantasy football category. We'd really love that. Thank you, guys. Good luck in Game Week 4, and we'll see you on Monday for the Game Week 5 preview, which is going to be exciting and very short turnaround.
Just
Peace.
one thing. We're going to post some more shorts and some various bits and bobs in the YouTube channel. So do give us some feedback on those. Also, if you're not following us on TikTok, come and have a look at that. I don't quite understand it yet, but I'm trying to learn it. And we're also trying to grow our Instagram as well. So come across, say hello to us on there. Give us a follow on that as well. Because
send a screenshot of your vote in the Football Content Awards, and you'll get a follow back on every platform of your choice.
Exactly, do that.
I might even WhatsApp video call you if you vote enough times. There's no limit to the number of votes. Peace out.